Amy Eskridge is one of those who is dead. We know what happened to her. She's dead. We don't know how she died. It was ruled a suicide, but this happened back in 2022. She'd been working on anti-gravity technology, allegedly sent alarming text messages to a friend just a month before her suicide. Now, you could say, okay, maybe she was struggling. These are pictures of her hands. She said that she had been hit with some kind of weird energy ray device.
Yeah, so when she was here, we were sitting on the couch, and we had just made popcorn. We were going to watch a movie, and the popcorn in the bowl started to pop again. And, you know, it already cooled off, so it started to pop again. And
Whoa!
She started to like.
You witnessed that yourself?
It was in my
too?
It was in my hand.
Wow!
And she started to like scream and vomit. And she's telling me they're attacking us. They're attacking us. I opened up the door where, you know, the energy weapon would have been emanating from, because it was just in line with the couch. And sure enough, parked across the street in where there was a parking lot. But the parking lot is for a restaurant. The restaurant was closed because of the pandemic. The car was parked not in a parking spot, but like facing the door. Very suspicious. I ran back inside. We went into the Faraday cage, and she was like trembling. We were like really scared about that.
You know about that? The NASA scientist girl that killed herself?
No.
Amy Eskridge?
I don't know about her.
You never heard about her, man?
No.
Does a lot of classified work and stuff for NASA, and she was telling us, oh, I know how anti-gravity works. I know how all this stuff works. And, you know, I thought that she was I thought she was like working for the intel agencies. I'm like, this girl's infiltrated our group. She basically got into our group, and then she started dating my main lab guy, Mark. She started dating him.
Jeremy, we're basically dating right now. And
you know, what if it was her technically pulling the trigger on herself? But what if it wasn't really her?
Option. Like, I've been roofied multiple times. Like, my extended team has been roofied multiple times. Like, it's a fucking roofie party over here. It's a roofie party.
Tell them about the guy who offered you one or two.
So I don't go to bars by myself anymore, even though it's my most productive zone. Twice now. Three times. It's like, I'm really fucking drunk. I shouldn't be this drunk. I didn't drink enough to be this drunk. What's happening? Why am I so messed up? Because surveillance is 50% about collecting the intel. The other 50% is just straight up about intimidating you and making you be scared.
Jeremy, Amy thinks she had boyfriends that were her handlers.
No, for fucking sure. It's sort of rapey after the fact. You can tell a handler from when they shut the fuck up. Because if they decide that you're worth looking into, they refer you to the operational groups. And then the operational groups are the ones that fucking like move into the apartment across the parking lot from you and stalk you physically in your hometown.
What about the innovator who's afraid of disappearing?
Well, that's a whole other problem. I think doing it in the public is better in that case. But that's a different...
It still doesn't mean it won't disappear. Even if you do it in the public, it still don't mean that the inventor won't disappear for lots of reasons.
There's a lot of people that Amy affected in one way or another in her life. And the people that seem to have been closest to her have not really participated in too many interviews, too many X discussions. They seem to try to kind of shut down X discussions, and we're told by some of these folks that they they would post a picture of them hanging out with Amy and known her for a long time, and it's very disrespectful to even really discuss this. There's even debate over whether those people are legitimate or not. So it's just this huge like wedge issue to even discuss it. And I've been researching Amy Eskridge. She is really, this whole case was something that I started researching. It's really the first case that truly, truly sparked my interest, because I thought, oh my God, here's this woman that's telling people, help, help. Like, I'm getting harassed. There's shit that's going down, and I am getting hit with weapons I can't see. I'm getting hacked on my computer. And I will say this to essentially anyone that I think can help and will listen to me, including her father, who we find out was also experiencing some hacking issues and things of that nature. There's a few podcasts on YouTube you can find where they debate over whether Amy was, murdered or whether she committed suicide, and they analyze all the different reasons for this or that. But I kind of fall in this area where if you follow the facts, and we're going to listen to some interviews here with Mark Sokol and others who, dated Amy for some time, a couple of years before this happened. And I think it's probably most likely that she did take her own life. And I'm not here to argue about that. I'm not here to argue at all. Just here to share what I've learned. But I think it's obvious that she was being harassed. And I think anyone she talked to that had any professional references and qualifications in the intelligence field also believed she was being targeted and harassed. We've talked on my show multiple times about directed energy weapons, and not just the kind that can give you radiation burns, but also the kind that could potentially impact how you think, how you feel, and even what you do. On our last UFO episode, we watched Annie Jacobson tell us that DARPA has a program that they can successfully put a sensor in a rat's brain and put a sensor in a human's brain. And that human can guide that rat through, or mouse, I can't remember if it was rat or mouse, through a maze using only their brain. And that was several years ago. Amy talked all the time. And you're going to hear Mark Sokol say this. She talked all the time about how she would never, ever kill herself. She even referenced a gun to the head on multiple occasions. And that if you ever catch me, if I'm ever dead with a gun in my hand, just know I didn't do it. She would joke about it. She would say it quite frequently. And, Mark references that as well. So, what if it was her technically pulling the trigger on herself? But what if it wasn't really her? What if the amount of attacks and the types of attacks were so bad that they were either able to control her to a degree where she would do something like that against her own will, or push her to the point where she feels she literally cannot take it anymore? I don't think there's much debate to be had about, is she the one that did this to herself?
The gun that was used was her gun. I saw it. And her father has video footage of her leaving the house with the gun barefoot at around midnight. Her dad found her with a gunshot wound to the head on the top of their property, and he did not want to have a full burial and a lengthy grieving process.
Her father had video of her walking out of the front door in the middle of the night, barefoot, with her pistol in her hand. And that was the last video they have of Amy. And then he found her the next, well, I guess it was the next early morning in the field. And he saw the wounds. And I can't imagine, I don't want to imagine seeing my own child like that. So when I hear they quickly disposed of the body, had it cremated, turned into ashes, I don't think that really means much other than, the father having an open casket with a wound like that would just be more suffering, I think. And he felt compelled to have her cremated. And again, I could imagine after seeing something like that, your own child, after years of talking about being harassed, finally ending like that. It's fucking tragic. But there's this stable group of folks that believed that she was murdered. And I have to say that I think she was murdered as well, but not in the way that we think. I think that, as Eric just alluded to, she was either driven to it or somehow manipulated into it. Okay, Flack will be hopping in soon, and we're going to check out this interview here. Now, we have a lot of good stuff with Mr. Sokol, Jeremy Rise, individuals that I have a great amount of respect for the work that they are doing. I don't know if I agree with every opinion they have on the matter, right? But that's okay. I can still respect them and disagree with them on certain points. Mr. Flack Magnet, how are you, sir?
Oh man, you keep introducing me like that. People are gonna think I'm special,
Hey, you are at this point, the most consistent guest on the show for sure.
Oh yeah, all right. I'll take it by those standards. As long as you're not saying I have like special abilities like my favorite X-Men individuals.
Well, we all know about your X powers.
Geez, now that's out, the government's coming faster than they were anyway. But
oh, buddy, how you doing today?
Oh, on one, dude, fucking on one. Arguing with Grok half the afternoon caused me to be
the worst.
Yeah, I was all right. So yeah, you know what? We won't get into it because I'm just gonna get angry again.
Oh, we can get into it. Here, I'll show you what. Yeah, go ahead. Let me hear it. Let's get into it.
I'm trying to fucking research this. I'm trying to research a couple of other things, right? And you don't want opinion. I don't want opinion anyway. I don't need Grok to tell me its opinion or because I've got a bunch of research.
Why do they always do that?
I have no idea, and I never ask for it. I always go based on research. Give me this.
Up recently.
Yep. Even when I say no, but don't attach opinion to it, it'll attach one anyway. It'll be at the bottom this time instead of right at the top, but it still throws its fucking opinion out.
What is that about? What is going on?
I don't know. I think it's reading the the direction it assumes that the conversation is going to go in, right? All right, give me a second to think about this because I kind of have an
It's
argument
like,
I'd
hey,
like to lay
this guy always researches crazy conspiracy stuff, so I'm just gonna prompt him now about why this couldn't be a conspiracy, and then maybe he won't go there, kind of a thing.
Yeah, sort of. Like, I wish it would at least make it seem a bit more like that, but it's just any fringe anything. It immediately wants to dampen that out. It doesn't even have to be
Yes.
conspiracy. It's just fringe topic, and it goes fucking haywire.
Yes, and I think it's doing that to everyone, and it seems like it's doing it more and more. And maybe it's just getting better at reading me and the way I try to look into things and research things. Because I look for the connections and the facts. I don't want the fluff. You know what I mean? So this, like, for instance, this is what I created on ChatGPT last week, and I couldn't even get it up to the list of the full 12 that even mainstream media is reporting on. But these are 10 of the, totally approved by AI.
You got farther than I did because I couldn't get a fucking list of more than 3 or 4.
Yes.
Like, it just kept giving me 3, 4, and then going, the rest. And I'm like,
Yes.
I don't know the rest. I'm asking for help finding the fucking rest of these people. Oh, man. I don't know.
A lot
if
of
it's
prompting, my friend.
just lazy, if it just doesn't feel like doing the work because, like...
Oh, it's lazy. That too.
Yeah. Because it makes me do all my research I'm asking it to do.
Right? You're like, hey, could you find me the last date that this happened? And it's like, oh, we think it was sometime in the 80s. Go Google it.
What do you think I'm attempting to do here? You're supposed to be smarter than a fucking normal Google search, but apparently not.
Oh, man. So I'll send this to you if you want. This is 10 of them. The profession or field of study they were in, their last known employer, what their connection to UAP, UFO, weird science, defense, that kind of stuff, what that was. Their status, you can see we have 4 missing and 6 dead. What year they went missing or died, and then the location where they were last viewed. And then you want to hear something crazy? I don't know if you saw my last UFO podcast, but if you look at General McCaslin's 2013 presentation to the AIAA, the map that he gives for the Air Force Research Lab locations matches up with the clusters where all these people are missing.
Oh, that's not a coincidence.
Yeah, and so there's people out there being like, well, this scientist only did this, and this scientist only did that, so it's not all connected. Gonna have to disagree with you on that.
So, all right, we love to bounce around on conspiracy theories, but that's like the one thing that I thought that like non-conspiracy theorists and other the conspiracy-minded can all like go, okay, all right, at least we can agree that as plebs and not in any of these branches or systems, we wouldn't know about all the stuff these people work on. That's like the inherent nature of the programs, right? Like to compartmentalize and all that stuff.
We can't even get these Epstein people arrested.
That's what I'm saying, right? And then that's also their thing too. On that one is like, well, the deep state and blah 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 blah. If we were to tackle this whole problem head on, then there would be nothing left at all. Which doesn't make it sound any better for the system they're trying to protect.
It also doesn't make any sense.
Here, we were sitting on the couch, and we had just made popcorn. We were going to watch a movie, and the popcorn in the bowl started to pop again. And, it already cooled off, so it started to pop again. And
Whoa!
she started to like.
You witnessed that yourself?
It was in my
too?
It was in my hand.
Wow!
And she started to like scream and vomit. And she's telling me they're attacking us. They're attacking us. I opened up the door where the energy weapon would have been emanating from because it was just in line with the couch. And sure enough, parked across the street in where there was a parking lot. But the car was The parking lot is for a restaurant. The restaurant was closed because of the pandemic. The car was parked not in a parking spot, but like facing the door. And the front windshield was tinted, which is illegal. The front windshield of the car was tinted. And I thought that was very suspicious. I ran back inside. We went into the Faraday cage, and she was like trembling. We were like really scared about that. Yeah, there definitely was, high strangeness and espionage going on with that.
So this is like, now that we're covering this stuff, do we need a Faraday cage? I mean, who has a Faraday cage to run into? Microwave popcorn popping in your hand that's cold. That's weird. And a microwave DEW could certainly do something like that. Oh, I like the PFP on this one.
Yeah, I had to change. This is for a friend of the show, Red Panda Koala. In name of his interview, I had to go put on my costume.
Put on your white panda koala costume.
Oh yeah, it's pretty easy. I just kind of gored out a stuffed animal, and then there we go. It worked.
The stuffy. Sometimes you got to take one for the team.
Yep.
Okay, so you heard the popcorn popping in their hand after they had already popped it, and that they had to run back into a Faraday cage to get the attack to stop. And I alluded to this a little bit earlier, is I worked in communication systems in the service, and we've talked about that a couple times. And microwave, what they're describing, could 100%, I mean, it is 100% consistent with some kind of microwave DEW attack. To what degree and which actual apparatus they're using, I have no idea. But that microwave can go through walls. It can go through cement walls. It can go through wood walls. It can go through windows.
Anything but even light steel, it'll bounce back off of. But just about anything but steel or a certain type of metal alloys.
Yeah, and we talked about this. It came up because of the Epstein Island microwave transmission systems. That's what I worked in. I mean, that's what I worked in, and I can tell you, in the late 70s, early 80s, a soldier in the field, if they chose to, could video conference a colonel back in HQ. In the 80s. Yeah, buddy. It was classified then. It's not classified anymore.
Dude, I found footage of remote control tanks from World War II that the Germans were working on, but they didn't use it because it was a little too unreliable in the field. But do you know how crazy that would have been for them to have had remote control tanks in World War II? That would have at least changed the ground game, because then they wouldn't have had so many soldiers having to do any of the work. They would have just put those things out, especially on they were pretty good amphibious wise, as far as water. So they would just come off those little boat things with the ramps and then just fucking right onto the land.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's the thing is autonomous warfare. That's almost where we are. I mean, it's now come out that the school that we blew up in Iran, that AI may have been involved in that to some level or degree. It's not a good look.
Well, that's the scariest part, right? Because the computer has a way easier time crunching those numbers and going okay, 20 kids to possibly, because this is what Croc was telling me, that, no, that's just what they do. They put things underneath things. I mean, that's what we do. That's what Chicago, I don't know if anybody knows this, but the atomic program was underneath the Chicago University, underneath the tennis ball courts.
That also sounds much more likely in Gaza, not Iran. But, I'm not the expert.
But it's it's just, I'm just pointing out how, let's say the Germans would have blew up the University of Chicago then, right? And we would have been like, look what
Could
they
you
did.
imagine?
They killed and those were college age students, not like children.
Right.
But we would have been up in arms and said like, how dare they? We wouldn't have admitted to having any atomic shit underneath it.
Yeah.
But like, just a hypocrisy. Like, okay, no, that's okay because they did have stuff on it. Who gives a fuck? You wait till after 5 p.m. then when the classes are out.
Yeah. There's very easy ways to take care of that if there is indeed a target there, other than just blowing it up while school's
But saying this,
going.
like, I would love the yin yang option of the CIA, right? Like, where we know they do go around and do fuck around stuff all over the globe with no good intentions. You know, it's like tear down a government. But like, wouldn't this have been a nice instance of the CIA going over there and pulling a fucking fire alarm? You know, like a prank to save 30 some odd school children. You know, like, but why does the CIA never do any positive fucking acts? Maybe
That's a
they
great
do.
question.
Maybe they
Well,
do.
they-
Those are just the super secret ones, you know.
They did with the one that that Trump basically dismantled. What was that called? The aid.
USAID.
USA.
Yeah, but
that was soft influence. That's what that was. That was money so these guys could do good things once in a while.
Yeah, sort of. Like there was just on the completely neutral side of things, they had their hands in like some NASA stuff and just real weird. Like around the time of 2020, the head of the USAID was meeting with a lot of heads of aerospace for some reason.
Isn't that interesting?
But domestically, you know, because this is supposed to be extra. I was going to say a fancy word, but just like off of our continent, you know, like it's supposed to be elsewhere, but that was them acting on U.S. soil with U.S. interests.
Yeah, and this, it's relative and it's relevant to the Amy Eskridge incident because if you think about the breakthroughs that can happen to kill people better. I don't know if you remember the Tesla truck bomber, but he said in his note that China has the ability to manipulate gravity, to basically have unlimited payloads for these type of crazy anti-gravitic machines, and that it's game over. And he said that's why he did it. I'm not saying that's what it is, but this is the kind of impact we're talking about because everybody wants to go, oh, free energy and oh, anti-gravitics, but you have to look at what the bad side could be of those things, like what you could do negatively with 0 point energy, what you could do negatively with anti-gravitic technology, because that's what our enemies are doing. Like there's a reason we're the superpower, at least used to be.
It's so weird. Like this is why I love the community and the group of researchers that we have, right? Like we all find different things strange and funny, and then we all decide to investigate along that angle. Because like with that whole thing, like I ignored the Trump aspect. I ignored a lot of it just to hone in on a few weird things about that whole story. One of those being the Cybertruck itself, right? Like the setup for that was he drove himself there. That happened, and he killed himself in the car. But I don't know if you remember the weeks before that, we were hearing stories about Tesla's being able to be hacked and driven. You know, like 2 or 3 people had shown it on the news.
It's just a matter of time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, with the cars empty, driving out of the fucking parking, out of the parking spot in the driveway, and then going fucking off somewhere, and then like having to retrieve the car somewhere else.
I'm not even surprised by that.
So that was really weird. The fact that like his girlfriend said that he was not suicidal or anything prior to, and this is like the real accounts of his girlfriend because the news reported something different. Then I think Project Veritas or somebody got in touch with his spouse, and it turns out he wasn't all that fucking crazy. Just very weird things. But I was more investigating like the self-driving Tesla angle, possibly. Like
where he was like not him or something, or he was already dead.
Yeah, because that's possible. you know, especially if it was just within, let's say, an hour of that incident. Especially if you have an explosion in the car and you're investigating 50 different angles, it'll slow that down, like your ability to figure out time of death and stuff. So
Yeah, it's one for a special forces guy that's worked in demolitions and explosives. It's one hell of a way to go.
yeah, knowing that wouldn't fucking work, too. It's
Mm.
like I'm pretty sure there was better ways.
Didn't he shoot himself or something?
Yeah, right before, but it was also the bomb was in the truck, right? And that we know that truck, for all its failures with its electric driving capability, it did have bulletproof windows, and it didn't. Nobody got hurt but himself.
Right, and he set it up that way.
Yeah, so like
On
it's
purpose.
just so weird. I would have thought that there would be less ways to be assumed. Like, all right, so my message I'm trying to get across, right? And like, let's say I don't want to be immediately looked at as a terrorist against my own country. I wouldn't go about this. I would have gone in a totally different way so that people couldn't automatically on the news minutes after go, oh, domestic terrorism, blah blah blah. Especially since his note said that it wasn't domestic terrorism. His note said he was just trying to get attention. So,
well, and it was
just so weird, dude.
Yeah, it was difficult for them to do that because the guy's a fucking hero. And then you look at the whole thing that happened with him in Afghanistan in 2019, and it gets all squirrely from there. And I don't know if you've looked into that, but basically, he said they were Intel was telling them what they were targeting was a drug operation, this building in Afghanistan. But really what it was just a bunch of civilians living in this place. And they just wanted to see if their weapons would do what they want them to do.
Damn.
Yeah. So that's pretty crazy. And that gets overlooked too, because of the spectacle of what happened at Trump Tower. But, you know, Amy and our good friend Eric commented in the comments a little bit ago was that the thing with Amy is that, and we'll listen to it here, I think that essentially she was the one that pulled the trigger. But I don't think it was Amy that pulled the trigger, if you know what I'm saying. Like, she was pushed, manipulated, and maybe even fucked with in her head. Because we know this stuff is possible, right? Like,
yeah, I'm kind of digging. All right, so the biggest problem that I had was like every time I hear any of the gang stalking shit these people talk about, immediately think of the same stuff that Tracy was talking about, and like the overlap for me is really strange because there isn't very much.
Virginia's Giuffre.
Yep. There's not very much overlap as far as the content they were into. She wasn't into UFOs or free energy, as you know, Tracy. She was into old esoteric works and more political shit behind the scenes, like what Hillary Clinton possibly believes religiously, you know, like weird things like that. But you have the same tactics being used, right? Coming from what I assume to be very credible sources, like. Tracy wasn't the type to cry wolf and try to like grift off any situation she's ever gone through. Like anytime she's had like a hard time outside of her research and stuff, she just won't do podcasts. You know what I mean? She's not constantly popping up saying like, I need a roof. Hey, people, help me with a. You know, she just does her shit and then she goes away and comes back with maybe a book. Like, hey, help me out by buying a book or whatever.
Yeah.
So to see that and then to hear her go, oh no, all these things are happening to me, and it happened a certain point in time after me looking into a certain group of people, you know, then this shit occurred. Because I just found an interview that she did where I'm not sure where in the timeline this is of the one I thought was the last one, because I replayed it in space the other day. Where she talks about, like, she goes into a bit more detail about who she thinks was really fucked with her, and it ties back to like political bot armies from around 2014 to 2016, right? Like, she thinks she kicks the nest there by covering the esoteric side of like the Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the Podesta email stuff, right? and it's funny because she didn't quite figure out what it was until a while after the harassment, and noticing that these were like Hillary shills. You know, maybe they weren't bots, but they were like people paid for by the DNC to run cover politically on social media, which does make a fuck ton of sense, dude. It makes sense with the Pizzagate stuff, right? Because you had James Alefantis dating Brock, who he was that arm for Hillary's political campaign. Right, best friends with the Podestas and all that stuff. It's all the same stuff, except she wasn't talking about Pizzagate. She was talking about what was it meant when Hillary said, "Oh, hey, I'm going to go sacrifice a chicken in the backyard to Molech." She went into what Molech is and Mithra worship and covered that pretty fucking well, to where, like, I don't know, man. I either think that maybe she was crazy, or she was so spot the fuck on with some of her claims there, which in relevancy, like, people have wacky religious beliefs. Unless you are actually sacrificing children, like, who gives a shit? You know, I mean, Rihanna.
I agree.
How many hip hop artists have been on video like killing chickens in the name of voodoo for their career? I can think of at least, I swear to God, I can think of at least 3.
Seriously?
100%. One of them, Iggy.
Man, I must have blocked that out of my memory.
Maybe not Iggy Azalea, because she's the white girl from Australia who raps. The other one that kind of sounds like that. What the fuck is her name? I forgot. But she has a video of her cleaning out her voodoo closet, which has like chicken feathers and blood all over it. And she's describing like, she's like, you got to do this once a year, blah 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 blah. But she's doing it, and she talked about it, and then she came out later. Then she came out later saying that she doesn't do voodoo anymore. But she was like, I did it.
Did she come to the Lord? Did she come to Christ?
I fucking hope so. I don't know. I don't know. I just can't see you killing any man.
But no, you
like
make a fantastic.
Cool,
yeah, you make a fantastic point. Whatever you believe in, that's fine. Just don't hurt other people, right? Like, that's the bottom line, especially not children. Okay, but at any rate, so it is a very similar kind of harassment. And I think because she's working in aerospace and they're in Huntsville where there's a ton of spies, I think it was either a private entity or a government entity with deep pockets, because these types of weapons that she would have been getting hit with are pretty sophisticated.
They're not as sophisticated as you would think, though. Right, like somebody in 2010 got it might have been a little bit after that, got arrested for building one of these in the back of a van. Right, like he was planning on driving around and fucking hitting people with microwave shit. Right, and now it was so bad that they got plans from this guy. It was mostly built. He had the right shit. Like this guy was well on his way to completing this. And this was some asshole who just looked up plans online and was trying to mount a big one in the back of his van. But one sec.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But I know the reason I say sophisticated is because, in my opinion, some of the attacks that she suffered would have come from smaller, less powerful devices. I mean, to be able to pinpoint a bowl full of popcorn and zap it, or be able to pinpoint her hands, like you could see in that video we showed, or it's coming up actually, where everything above her wrist is red. They were literally.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. Like, I'm just pointing out it's more specialized in the information than the actual tech to build it. Like, without getting into things that will get us in trouble, but like a couple of old microwaves, you know, and a bit of know-how, and you can fucking get one of these things going. Because even Science Bob McGuire, I had brought this up, and he was like, "No, you're fucking 100% right." Like, because I'm saying like it's a specialized form of weaponry, number one, but it's also super specialized form of science to be able to get one of these working, especially in the way that would have worked on them. Right. You know, like you're saying in a centralized area. But my thing is like it kind of points us in a good direction. Like they would have had fucking some sort of ties to somebody who knew that this shit works. You know what I mean, and knew
Right.
how to properly build it. Also, I'm pointing out it's handheld because I think I haven't been able to find it, but I think from the interview I heard with Mark, he was saying that it was a handheld, what looked like a dish device, being directed at them from somebody in a van. Like they seen it through the fucking window, right?
Yeah, he opens the door. That was at the very beginning. He opens the door and there's a sedan out there with a tinted front window.
A sedan, okay, not a van.
Yeah, not a van. Well, it's funny because I think someone else says van and he actually corrects them. That's the only reason I'm correcting you.
No, I love being corrected because I don't know. I try to not speculate in bullshit. You know?
Well, and it matters because, like you're saying, some of these weapons are huge, and some of them not. And in my opinion, the smaller and more precise they can get, the deeper the pockets are of the person that's funding this operation.
100%. I totally agree.
Yeah, and so I think that's why a lot of these folks in the circle, loose circle, kind of came to the conclusion it was a foreign actor like China or Russia or something like that. But it's interesting to hear why they think Amy was targeted, and we'll get into that here.
Has, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to do the same thing. I was trying to figure out what they.
Yeah,
had.
you were trying to do it too. Yeah, right.
I was trying to do it too. I decided, you know what? I'm single. She's single. Let's date. You know, let's kill two birds in one stone.
See, China, you just got to get a nice Jewish boy.
Yeah,
You don't need the vans in Havana.
Yeah, a nice Jewish boy. Let's figure out what they got and make it real. Like
That's not a good look, Mr. Sokol.
Oh, come on. I'm double Jewish. You know this. Get a nice double Jewish boy. It's double nice, I think.
I was dating her because I wanted to learn what she knew about gravity and get closer to her father.
Oh, you're talking about what Mr. Sokol said, because I totally agreed
Yes.
with Red Panda on that one. Like, you get yourself a nice Jewish boy.
Oh, no problem. No problems with that. But, I'm not picking sides. I just try to show people things I see that I notice. And that is something that I noticed. That he just
You've actually pointed that out twice to me. I want to point that out. That's something you caught twice now that didn't really fucking cross my mind, but totally 100% makes sense. Like, because I was hung up on the funny thing that fucking Red said and still missed it. Damn.
Yeah. No, he says, I was single, she was single. I figured kill two birds with one stone. I can date her and learn what she knows about gravity and get closer to her father.
Yeah, that sounds like Fed tactics, right? Like,
doesn't sound like a guy that just likes a girl.
Yeah. Like, I'll be honest, like 100% have a nerd crush on Amy. Very similar to the 100% nerd crush that I have on Tracy. Like,
now, would it
very
be to
smart,
get closer
intelligent
to
women.
her dad?
100% no, because that's fucking even weirder than anything.
Thank you.
The tech angle, I couldn't possibly hope to even understand all the shit she would talk about. So, like, maybe that would be on the personal interest side of like, holy shit, maybe she'll make me slightly smarter by being in the room.
Sure.
But like,
yeah.
to word it like what he did, that's kind of scummy. Maybe that's like, I don't know, autistic level. I'm not understanding, but I like to think of myself as pretty autistic sometimes, and I still can't figure that one out.
Yeah, it is a little creepy, right? I mean, maybe not creepy, but a little I don't know. It just doesn't seem honest, right? If you want to date somebody because you like them, okay, date them because you like them. You don't consider what you could learn from them and how much closer they could get you to one of their parents that is successful and famous, sort of, in certain circles.
Although I'm starting to rethink this. There was a girl in high school that I did want to date, and she was way too cool for me, and this is precisely why she was way too cool. She could kickflip, I could not. I hoped that kickflip was real hard.
That's a tough one.
Yep. Once I got it, dude, I kickflipped everything. I was like the kickflip kid for 3 months. But I was like, maybe I'll learn. Nope, I wasn't even cool enough to fucking hang out enough to learn. So there's that one.
I didn't want to. Didn't come there to steal it from them. I came there to build it. She decided that I was there to steal anti-gravity disclosure from her.
In the past 12 months, if I sit down at a bar by myself, some dude will come, like some 50-year-old dude will come and sit next to me and turn to me and say, "Do you want one roofie in your drink or two?" I'm like, okay. And then twice now, three times, it's like, I'm really fucking drunk. I shouldn't be this drunk. I didn't drink enough to be this drunk. What's happening? Why am I so messed up? And then all of a sudden the people at the bar around me are like, "What do you do for a living? Tell us. Do you work for the government? What do you do? You're sitting there at your laptop. It looks cool. Tell us what you're doing." And I'm like, "Hey, you didn't ask me that until I suddenly was disoriented." Maybe you haven't had it happen then, because surveillance is 50% about collecting the intel. The other 50% is just straight up about intimidating you and making you be scared.
Jeremy, Amy thinks she had boyfriends that were her handlers.
No, for fucking sure. It's sort of rapey after the fact. I have a background checking service where I can find phone numbers and addresses for anyone. And he has no phone numbers or addresses for the past 2 years because he disappeared and went to Mars, or he's dead. He got erased. Handler romantic partners, 6 months exactly. They ghost you at 6 months exactly. It never lasts longer than 6 months because they get attached to you. You can tell a handler from when they shut the fuck up because you talk to them about your crazy ass life. Your life is crazy. You have a handler, your life is crazy, you're into some shit. And you talk to them because they're your significant other. You talk to them about shit. And they talk back because they're faking. If they decide that you're worth looking into, they refer you to the operational groups. And then the operational groups are the ones that fucking move into the apartment across the parking lot from you and stalk you physically in your hometown.
What about the innovator who's afraid of disappearing?
That's a whole nother problem.
We can pause it here for a second if you want. I remember this specifically being mentioned with the Benowitz situation, right? With Doty, and Doty admitted that he didn't know that there was a fucking detail aside from his own across the way. And then when he actually investigated for who was his friend at the time, when he looked into it, turns out that it was what two officers had been assigned over there from military intelligence or whatever. I don't know how much you can trust Doty on that anecdote, but this is when he was telling another string of truths about how big of a piece of shit he was with that situation. So I'm going to give him enough credit. It is in that one.
Yeah, it is difficult to know when to take that guy seriously. I find him, it's very similar with Eric Davis. You're smart and you're bright, but then there's other times I'm like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? But I guess that's just how it is.
Well, also he wasn't excited. He wasn't excited talking about that part. What gets my hackles up with him is when he starts to stutter after being asked a good question. And the other thing is when he gets excited, because that means that you've now poked at a subject that he can lie to you endlessly about, so he'll go "Ooh," and then you'll see him get all he does it in all of his interviews. Anytime an alien body is brought up, he gets all giggly and fucking, it's the strangest thing, because you'd think he dated one of these alien bodies and it went really well for him with how happy he is to talk about the fucking situation.
I'll never forget about his story about the escaped insectoid alien from the base.
Is that the God sauce noise that Logan plays all the time? Oh, yeah, so
it's
good.
Pretty good. Okay. It's pretty good. And speaking of Logan, we're gonna have a little guest appearance from Logan and Frank Milburn from a space they did about Amy. And Frank Milburn was very active in the Amy stuff. He was actually friends with her for a number of months, so she was reaching out to him for help about the harassment. And Frank had has a lot of contacts in intelligence. and he shares kind of his opinion of what happened on the matter here in a moment. Now, this is Amy at one of the conferences where this guy just asked her, what about the scientists that get disappeared? And she says, well, I'm in public, so I think I'll be okay. And then her dad says, yeah, you can still disappear though.
I think doing it in the public is better in that case. But that's a different.
It still doesn't mean it won't disappear. Even if you do it in the public, it still don't mean that the inventor won't disappear for lots of reasons.
I think it's funny too, because I had to turn the volume up on that. And you can hear the cameraman literally whisper to himself, oh, fuck.
Damn. But you know what weirds me out with her too, right? Like if she was such a kook, right? Like how the fuck did she get all the access, right? And she's not like
her dad.
This is the thing.
Have
right?
you believe?
I love that you bring that up because that's the reason why I brought this up, right? Because he's come out now and said she didn't have any research. She wasn't doing anything.
Right.
You know,
all the research that they've done has been published.
Yeah, so he's been on the thing of like she was crazy. She's had problems with this, and you all should leave her alone. But like, why didn't you say that? I don't know, the whole time that she was talking, because I remember the Jeremy, like how I got introduced to her was Jeremy Reese interview, right? And that was, I think, the first thing she'd ever done. Yeah. This is the first one she's ever done where we don't get to hear any of Jeremy Reese because he fucked up his audio on that somehow, which I feel bad for him because this
I do feel bad for him too because it's huge.
Yeah, and no one knows it's him. Yeah. Like I had to hear it from him in a space where he was like, "Oh, that's my interview," and I was like, "No way!" And he goes, "Yeah, there's a whole portion of empty space because I'm asking her questions, and for some reason, it didn't record any of that."
Well, and you can hear like responding to him and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's almost like she's being interviewed by a fucking ghost, which is wild. I told him that he didn't find it so funny.
Well, I don't have the whole thing, just some snippets. Obviously, I think that whole video is like.
It's almost 3 hours, that one too. It's long.
Yeah, it's a long one.
But this is the thing. She taught me how to be a podcaster. If I'm being honest, and like first off, I'm going to give some shout outs. Logan, Full Stack Logan's my fucking homie.
Oh yeah,
he brought me in. He taught me how to be a proper host on Spaces. Same thing with as much as people give him shit, Sombro. The first like 4 or 5 real no shits. Well, people give him a lot of shit in the community, you know. So like, fuck that. He when push came to shove and I needed help because I needed like some tech shit. You came in, Sombro came in, and Logan came in and fucking helped me out like you guys wouldn't believe. So I got a lot of love for all y'all. But
that's awesome.
So now to have it, I don't know. It's just great when people who didn't need to show you any kindness do that, and then they get shit, and you're like, no, I know this person's a kind individual because they showed me grace at a time when they had no reason to. So I don't know. I love that we're covering some of Logan stuff too.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing about Spaces, and a lot of times it'll go for a really long time, and so the people are maybe a little less guarded, maybe not thinking as much, and something might slip out that wouldn't normally slip out. And I think we'll see a couple of examples of that here between Red Panda's interview with Mark and this video that you alluded to. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting medium what a lot of people are liking now is this live Spaces, not even so much the podcast anymore. They want to see it live because that's when those moments can happen, you know?
Well, another community member, Tyler, got Mark Epstein in a fucking space, which to me is still batshit crazy because that guy should be, I don't know if I was his lawyer. We get into a lot of the allegedlys and the lawyerings on this show, so people will know I like to imagine myself as a fake pseudo lawyer. But I would certainly tell him, "Hey, man, don't do any interviews."
A fake journalist.
Oh, and a fake judge. I'm following.
We cover our bases on that way.
Oh yeah, but it's just wild to see. Like, I don't know, man. The ignoring of certain key aspects of all this shit, though, right? Like,
selective memory.
All right, we can get back into it. I feel like I'm waylaying us.
Like total denial. My family's in total denial.
You're good, buddy.
And we're like, so I hired this new cybersecurity company, and it's run by the former CIO of Northrop Grumman. I was referred to him for a reason. And he's like, hey, I've been spending 35 years in counter espionage, specifically for the Navy, specifically for advanced propulsion. And I was the chief information officer for Northrop Grumman. And I was like, okay, I'm going to tell you a series of really crazy ass stories. And can you please reserve judgment until the end? And I told him a bunch of stories about like electronic and physical surveillance and stalking and like weird ass death and sexual threats and shit. And I got to the end and I was like, okay, I'm ready. Tell me I'm crazy. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm insane. Tell me I'm sane. I'm ready for it. Tell me. And this guy was like, I wish I could tell you that you were insane, but you're totally not. He was like, I'm so fucking sorry. He was like trying to let me down gently. And he was like, the stories you've told me, I've heard from other young women in technology positions. And he was like, they do it on purpose. They do like crazy ass shit to you that is unbelievable just so that you feel like you can't tell anyone. And they pose as like agents from their own government.
My trick is that I tell everyone. And
I
by
do
telling
too,
everyone,
but like,
protect yourself.
I tell people, but I wait until I have 5 or 6 smoking guns before I open my mouth.
I actually spoke to Amy Eskridge. I don't think she killed herself. I do think there's a very high likelihood she was murdered. I've got a very good friend who was a very, very good friend of hers who was being sent emails by her in the months prior to her death where she genuinely feared that somebody was trying to hurt her or kill her. And I've got photographs, harrowing photographs of burns that she allegedly suffered from some kind of directed energy weapon that she believes was directed at her from the street through the window of the office that she was working in. And they are harrowing images showing burns on her hands where literally there's a red mark that starts just from her hands, and it's as if her hands across a keyboard were being irradiated with something. I do think that the instance of the Amy Eskridge case is quite extraordinary. There's a whole lot of unexplained stuff. The difficulty is that her body was apparently cremated shortly after her death. Her family, and I have no wish to cause her family any hurt, her family do I understand, believe that she committed suicide. I don't think she killed herself. I truly don't think she killed herself. I'm sorry if that upsets the family, but I think she was a wonderful human being.
The thing that's tough about what I think happened here is that there's a difference between her being the one that pulled the trigger and ending her own life and suicide. I don't think she committed suicide. But I do think she was most likely the one that pulled the trigger. And it's an important distinction.
She was making claims that she was making advances in anti-gravitic technology.
Most of what he said I agree with. She was a brilliant scientist. She was unstable at times. She would drink a lot. She would smoke a lot of pot. And that was mostly to cope with the pain and chronic issues that she had. The radiation was very real. I felt it. Felt like a burning sensation. The closest thing I can equate it to is one time when I had an accident here at the lab using X-band microwaves, and I got a little irradiated from that because something wasn't properly grounded. That was a similar sort of feeling. So maybe it was.
That's like where I stopped it before you came in. Because I was saying that's a experience. When you feel that, you don't forget it, and you know it when you feel it again. It is a very unique, very intense feeling, depending on the strength.
Like a maser, like a microwave laser. So yeah, I can. All of those things can be true, and at the same time, she took a gun and killed herself. And she also walked around and told everyone that if you ever find me dead to a gunshot wound, it wasn't me. She said that a lot. But what she's doing in saying that is attracting a gunshot wound to her head because she's constantly thinking about it. And what you think about, you bring about.
And again, I have nothing but respect for all the work Mark's done. That's just a different opinion than what I believe.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I think you can kind of manifest positive things in your life by positive reinforcement and things, different practices like that. But I don't know if the things you're scared of get manifested to you because you're scared of them. I just don't know if I'm in on that.
Yeah,
Thought.
There's kind of like I don't know, this weird thing that's always said about how you kind of like the way you think about things, like how you would react in a situation. But I mean, like growing up in New York, you have a lot of scam artists, right? So you got to kind of like be aware of that bullshit. So when I pick up on shit quickly, it's because I've already kind of seen that shit play out already. To where it's like, no, that's not where my brain automatically goes, but I notice enough signs and patterns to it. It's kind of like with this, you notice enough signs and patterns, and you could build a case for your argument, right?
Yeah, and that's that pattern recognition is what some of these folks are trying to say is happening with the missing scientists now. That there's really nothing to it. It's just that your brain notices these strange patterns that they're scientists. But really, if they, how many nurses die in the same month or something like that, right? It's only because there's scientists working in these fields that we care. And really, there's nothing nefarious about it.
Yeah, except like when you have positions like that high up, they tend to watch you pretty fucking closely. They want to know if you're taking Benadryl, aspirin, or anything,
Yes.
Like, so, and also, like, didn't McCaslin still have active clearances for things like?
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Podesta. When they were doing the To the Stars thing with Tom DeLonge, there's an emails with Tom DeLonge, John Podesta, and Neil McCaslin.
I'm willing to put DeLonge up as a whistleblower, missing whistleblower, if he goes missing at any point in time now, because there's too many core. Like, how do you ignore that shit, dude? How do you not notice something like that? Like, I get it. Okay, people go missing all the time.
Yeah.
But a super high up intelligence community, super high up scientists, like, I can't see our own government just allowing them to fucking disappear.
I refuse to be gaslit. Because like this is what they said about pizza, and this is what they said about Epstein for a while, and the fact that our government is covering up for these pedos in high-ranking positions in the government or in private industry. No, we're noticing it because it's there's something to it, right? Just like the 25 scientists that went dead and missing over the Marconi issue back in the late 80s, early 90s. It's not coincidence.
She also loved drama. But one thing that he said that isn't true, she probably did tell him that she was making advancements in anti-gravity. That's not true because she never worked on that stuff. She ran the Institute for Exotic Science, which would move money around to people that were actually doing work, but she never did any of the actual work.
I find that weird because he's sitting there saying she's a brilliant scientist and under the same breath saying she's not doing any work on the anti-gravity.
So. I don't know. Is that like an admission for what management does? You know what I mean? Like,
right. Just because she handles the financial part doesn't mean she's not involved. Yeah, it's very strange.
Because like then you could kind of do that with everyone else who's like within that apparatus, but like the accountants, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like technically they're still involved. They're in the fault. Like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where he's going with that one.
It's strange, right? And that's why I left that part in because it's kind of strange.
Her dad found her with a gunshot wound to the head.
on the top of their property, and he did not want to have a full burial and a lengthy grieving process. We tried to set up an online memorial thing. It was going to be on Jeremy Reese's channel, where he would have come, and Kathy would have come and talked about her and done some sort of memorial, but that he ended up bowing out at that. It was just too painful and too raw.
You talked about funding, and that seems to be the common denominator of all this stuff. Funding or lack of it.
Yeah.
Where is there any money? Are you aware of any private money that's being spent on this, or
Yes.
is anybody talking to angel investors or that sort of stuff? Or
Let me give you the down low on the funding situation. So you've got your black budgets, that obviously is well funded. And then you have your academic budget, which is non-existent because they think it's okay. And then you have your random billionaires who have a hobby. Okay? And they made their money doing something else.
Epstein.
But they are applying their money towards weird anti-gravity stuff just because they want to be known for something other than what they made their money in. Because I've seen government research, I've seen academic research, I've seen private research, and money is always the problem. The technology is never the problem. The technology is there, and the talent is there. The money's never there. So what we've done with the Institute is we've sort of
She is 100% accurate on that, and that's why you will find stovepiping oftentimes, because they have 15 different ways of getting to the end result. But they usually go with the more cost-effective, or one that'll be cost-effective over time. Often ignoring that, like, the technological revolution that could occur, to where, like, one industry, like with mining, right? Like, let's say finding an automatic auger and miner and something that separates all that shit might cost you millions and millions and millions, and might put you out of business possibly before you can really get it off the ground. But the second that's done, you've now revolutionized the whole industry to where now you're able to pull in 10 times more resources. Right? Like with your propulsion idea, it may get you to the moon sooner, right? Quicker. More efficient, less waste, less money going into the fuel. But in order to build that fucking thing, it may take you 20 years of trying to find the investors and so on and so forth. But that's a planned hurdle. It's one that's placed there on purpose. You know what I mean? If we truly understood how much money is taken in this country alone from just the taxes, we would see that we could potentially buy a new government every other weekend. You know, with just the percentage we give our own government.
Just in the amount of fraud from that money.
Oh yeah,
it's insane. So yeah, that and again, to me, okay, maybe she didn't develop any new anti-gravity stuff, but she certainly understands it. And she's trying to pull in interested investors, angel investors. She's trying to manage this group so that they can do just what you're talking about, not have just one person funding it, and not have just one government funding it.
Assembled some of these random people with big budgets and a hobby, and we've said, hey, can we like pool money into like a big stable pot of money, so that we can have like a safe, well-funded sandbox for smart people to play in, and not have to worry about government election cycles affecting their budget, or tenure affecting their budget, or even when you find your billionaire, like sometimes the billionaire runs out of money or loses interest or disappears. So you can't just be dependent on one wealthy investor. You need a big pot of money that's stable, that isn't going anywhere.
Huntsville has enjoyed a 75-year history in the space exploration industry as a supplier of technology for rocket propulsion, space station construction, the Hubble Space Telescope, and transportation to Mars and other celestial bodies. This built on the Space 1.0 discoveries of Galileo and other early astronomers. These accomplishments occurred in the government-driven environment of the first space race. Today, however, is the Space 4.0 era, where Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and other space barons are driving the commercialization of space with emphasis on taking calculated risks. The barons' objectives, of course, are to facilitate the commercialization of space exploration in the same manner as the Hudson's Bay Company commercialized the seaborne trade routes of the 15th and 16th centuries. The space barons' destinations, however, are Earth orbit, the Moon, Mars, the asteroid belts, and beyond. If Huntsville is to remain a key player, it must evolve itself from beyond the old culture, and we must become the leader under the new Space 4.0 rule set. We must course correct to bring new technology to the industry by adopting commercial practices. The Institute for Exotic Science provides the commercially oriented technology development infrastructure that the industry needs. Huntsville's Marshall Space Flight Center and Redstone Arsenal have shelves full of technology.
If you stick your neck out in public, at least someone notices if your head gets chopped off. If you stick your neck out in private, fuck you. They will burn down your house while you're sleeping in your bed, and it won't even make the news. That's why the Institute exists. So it's a platform of credibility and public-facing persona.
Some other scientists that have done a lot of other work, you know, like Amy Eskridge's father there, Richard Eskridge, and then also, that's the scientist that we knew that killed herself. You know about that? The NASA scientist girl that killed herself?
No.
Amy Eskridge?
I don't know about her.
You never heard about her, man?
No.
Well, she had to try to infiltrate our group. I felt that she was well, first we thought she was a high-level source because her father's Richard Eskridge. He's got all these plasma gravity, plasma propulsion patents and stuff for NASA. Does a lot of classified work and stuff for NASA. And she was telling us, "Oh, I know how anti-gravity works. I know how all this stuff works, and I can't wait to tell you guys all the secret. And I'm going to help reveal it. She was telling us she was going to be the one to bring disclosure. And I thought that she was I thought she was working for the intel agencies. I'm like, this girl's infiltrated our group. She basically got into our group, and then she started dating my main lab guy, Mark. She started dating him.
Jeremy, we're basically dating right now, and y'all can. Yeah.
What? He didn't say anything.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything.
Your dad liked my idea, and that's fine. Jeremy, get this. Jeremy, get this. Listen to this. So the other night, Amy took me to the airport, and we were chatting right before security, and they called my name for the plane. I got to security. All the agents were on break, whatever. I ended up missing my plane. So we ended up staying another night at Amy's house, and her dad ended up taking me to the airport because she had some crazy meetings and stuff. But the night before, right when I got there, they started talking about this project to make a neutron ray. And me and Amy were talking about the day before. She actually read me in on the project. Basically, you're using neutrons to detect ordinances under the ground. So her dad was saying the only way to get a beam out of it is to have the spins going one way and the spins going the other way, at 180 degrees. And you know what I told him? Dude, that's Alzafan.
Fucking fan. Fuck him.
Jeremy, to be honest with you, what I think you're talking about with quasi-crystals and all that stuff is the seventh force. That's much more advanced stuff than what we're going to be capable of doing right now.
Jeremy, are you aware that there are 8 forces of nature?
Let's not talk about Amy's health, okay?
It sucks. Let's move on.
Yes.
And I was just like, oh my God, they just got into my group and infiltrated me. Holy crap. And I thought she was a spy the whole time. and I just couldn't stand her. But now she killed herself in a couple of years ago. And there's a lot of people online that think there's a bigger conspiracy involved in it. And then also think that
who did she work for?
But she worked for her father in, I don't know. She worked for a couple different companies and stuff, and she worked for this Institute for Exotic Sciences with another friend of hers, and they were supposedly going to be developing this these
She co-founded the Institute for Exotic Science.
yeah, it's this group in Huntsville, and
She publicly spoke about developing a sixth force.
So we've been digging into this anti-gravity stuff as long, if not longer, than Jeffrey Epstein was. And I didn't, hire a lot of these people to come to my private island, as I don't have one. But we did set up our own conference after the Estes Park conference.
Frank, what happened to Amy? How did she pass away?
Do you really want me to answer that?
Yeah, because I can't figure it out.
She was murdered.
That checks out.
Yeah, it's kind of a sore point, mate. She was murdered for her work on free energy. She was a brilliant mind. She was an expert on free energy, the extraction from the ether of basically free energy. For the 5 weeks leading up to her death, she said to me, I'm being harassed, I'm being this and that, and she had been for a year. And I'd logged all those events, and I logged 4 other scientists that she was involved with, and they'd all been harassed as well and subject to directed energy weapon attacks. And in the 5 weeks leading up to her death, she was like, well, if you hear that, I've committed suicide, it wasn't a suicide. And then when I was called by my mate in the CIA, who was the first person who called me, I spoke to her on the Friday night, late Friday night, Saturday morning, early, because I let my cats out really early. I woke up at like 0500, 05600 or 0600. I turned on my phone, and my first message was from a CIA buddy, and he said, it looks like they're saying Amy has committed suicide. He goes, but we, as in we in the agency, were treating it as a homicide.
She was about as an expert in free energy extraction from the ether as Jeremy Reese is. It was all theoretical. She never did any actual work in the field. And I don't think she was murdered. I believe her father. I believe the people that were actually living there with her that saw her in her final moments. The gun that was used was her gun. I saw it. And her father has video footage of her leaving the house with the gun barefoot at around midnight. And then he found her, a few hours later. So unless somebody this is all the facts. So unless somebody actually came and met her on her property, which is like they would have to walk through the woods through all that poison ivy, because the only way to get there without going through the path up to the spot where she went is covered by cameras, but the other parts of the property are just like wooded. The only way to have got there without being seen would have been to walk through a bunch of poison ivy. So unless somebody met her over there and took her gun and then shot her for her, there's no way that it was anyone else. And there's no signs of anyone else being there. And it was on the top of her property. It was like the perfect place to do it. And it was right after she went cold turkey off of nortriptyline.
I could have said, oh, this is all bullshit. And then the same CIA contact who called me to tell me that she was dead several months before, I was on a Zoom meeting with him and other people from the agency and high-ranking members of Homeland Security, and Amy was there. So I knew that it wasn't bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, shit. So he went to a meeting with high-ranking government officials from the Defense Department, I believe, is what he said. And Amy was there. And another thing to note, too, is that this was 2 years after her separation from Mark, which was not that long of a relationship. It was just a few months. They ended on pretty sour note. They get into here. But definitely, I think that if someone messes with you enough and messes with your head enough and your overall biological health to where every single day you're in pain in one way or the other. And she said towards the end there, she heard voices. Now, Mr. Sokol, I believe, says it's because of the medication she was on. But she apparently had heard voices before she did this to herself. And so I think, again, she is probably the one that pulled the trigger. Most of the facts and evidence point to that. But why aren't we digging into what drove her there and who was responsible for all of these attacks? And who was responsible for her boyfriends that were fucking handlers? Who was that? Because whether it's a foreign state or a private company or our own government, we have to draw a line and say, that's fucking not okay. I don't care what kind of non-disclosure agreement you signed. You can't wreck a human being's life and then have them look like they took it out themselves. I mean, it's insanity.
We also
Do you know anything about that meeting?
We also shouldn't be shamed for just wanting to ask some questions. You know, like we are just trying to figure some shit out, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing too, you know, is people are like, they're scared they're going to get canceled for asking a question or something. I don't get it. But there's a lot of unanswered questions in her death.
By the way, or no?
I don't know anything about it. I wasn't really in contact with her at the time. I mean, you can go off of what he says. I know when I was dating Amy, she constantly said that if anyone finds me with a gunshot wound to the head, it wasn't suicide. Like she said that a lot. She said that even when I was dating her, and so she kind of knew subconsciously that she would eventually commit suicide. That's what I think. And she created a lot of drama in her life when she was alive, and I think she just wanted to create a lot of drama in her death too. And there's people that were working in this field that quit the field because of what happened and how it happened. You know, out of fear.
It was a sub-state actor, and most likely operatives working for some large US aerospace conglomerate, because Amy had figured out something that they didn't want her to figure out, because they had basically a claim on it, shall we say. That's my assessment.
Okay, and then real quick too, actually, I thought of this while I was going. Did her dad ever corroborate any of the like weird gang stalking or Havana stuff when she was alive? Like, did he ever experience that himself too?
Oh yeah. Mostly what
would he say about it?
Mostly the hacking. What he told me last weekend. What he told me last weekend, or actually within the last week when I talked to him, he told me that he thinks it was Amy going to these bars in Huntsville, talking about how she's got anti-gravity figured out and there's secret sauce, and you know they can't talk about it, top secret, NDAs, blah blah blah, and that got foreign espionage all excited and chasing after them. I think that theory kind of fits with what Kepler Aerospace saw, and you know what we know about what China does and possibly Russia. So that kind of makes sense. I don't think they were after her because she actually had anything. I think she were after her because of the bluff. Yeah, and even if she did commit suicide, is it really her fault?
Exactly, that's my point being. It's like, even if she did it, she's driven there because of all this weird stuff that is really happening, and you and other people corroborate.
I mean, if you put somebody through all of that, is it really their fault?
And that is a point I agree with Mr. Sokol on. And that's why it's so sad that once the investigators say, "Oh, okay, suicide," that's it. Now, Mr. Milburn said CIA, his contact, said they were investigating it as a murder. Well, if they were, it's been 4 years now. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, or if they just weren't able to turn anything up. But it seems strange that you have this town, Huntsville, Alabama, that is just chock full, stocked of foreign and domestic spies. And our security apparatus, however we're handling that, is not making sure she's okay. If she's, like her dad says, going out to bars and drinking and then spouting off about this crazy technology or whatever, that she has the keys to this crazy technology, absolutely that's going to get people interested that are not friendlies. So okay, let's say that is what was happening. Why aren't we investigating those people? Are you talking where there was no cameras at the bars? There was no witnesses? There were no, how can there just be no leads whatsoever? Suicide. Done with it. We don't even have to investigate it. It's a suicide. And maybe that's why we see so many of these people getting quote unquote suicided. Because once that's ruled, that's it.
I'm kind of piqued a little bit on the CIA angle, a little bit there, if I'm being honest. Right, like
well, he said she was in a high level meeting with these folks. Intelligence.
Well, who is notorious for like handling the dirty work for corporate interests in other countries, right? Like, who does that? Whose job would that be? Like if we think
like
back
Gestapo.
to well, the CIA does that. That's their job. They go out there and they do the fuckery on behalf of the oil companies and all that shit, right?
Yeah, but the oil companies, they have private contractors now that can do just as good a job.
Yeah, but my thing is, like, if you're bringing in the tech angle, it would be the CIA. The CIA would get first dibs at all cool new James Bond tech,
oh yeah.
So that's why I'm thinking, like, maybe the people fucking with her were in the CIA, perhaps. I don't know. But now this is another thing that kind of weirds me out. Like, you do say that, right? Where that kind of makes sense about the her being a chatty Cathy a bit in these bars where you're getting overseas interests, but that would also, the overseas interest immediately comes with our own government interest into why the overseas are looking at your shit. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't think so, let's say there's 5 Chinese spies and 5 Russian spies in that bar, right? And that's a lot. There probably is only one Russian spy, probably one.
No, that's
CIA.
probably accurate in Huntsville.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I'm not thinking about Huntsville because I'm thinking about the small dive bars in Brooklyn and shit, where there's not even room for 5 and then 5 and then 5 normal people. You're already peeking out at the limits. But like, yeah, okay. But then there would be a CIA guy set right the fuck there too, because God forbid he doesn't get any of that sweet information that he can then sell to whatever fucking party. That's all they're doing is selling information back and forth. And the selling doesn't need to be for money. The selling could be for more information about something else. So I do see that, but I don't know. She does seem like a little bit of a chatty Cathy when she's drunk. I don't know if that's enough to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
If she's drawing the attention of these foreign special interests, then why aren't our people on that? Right? Because like you just said it, like, well, if she got their interests, then our people are going to be one interested. So we should know or should have known, at least had a good idea of who was doing this to her. But we don't hear about any of that.
And also, I think
Nothing.
a relevant point would be like why she's dangerous to our own government, right? Like, because I don't think we touched on that really. She's dangerous because she's talking about revolutionizing technology so that people can get this stuff. You know, she wants
She's
to take it off
talking
the
about
shelves of
new elements.
Oh yeah, but she's saying that they already exist in like Lockheed Martin. So she was saying in Huntsville they're already on the shelves. We need to start
Yeah.
using them and giving them like people access to it. So that's where the dangerous part comes in too, is where she
Right.
is like talking about like, hey, stop the fucking privatization of all this shit and like let's bring it to the people. Where I'm totally fucking all for that. That's where she'll get me every
Oh,
time.
me
I'll be
too.
like, hey, the people. But the powers that be don't like the people. So
Right.
I can
Right.
see where she got
And
dangerous to certain parties real quick, even within our own government.
right. And what Mr. Sokol gets into here, they discuss it a little bit. Jeremy hops in and discusses a little bit, is that maybe she didn't have the secret sauce, but was talking about having it. And her talking about it with her lineage and everything else was enough to draw these folks in that were messing with her.
Well, we know people all over the community that claim to have the secret sauce on all this stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Like, so it's not a new claim. I don't know. Like, I don't know, man. It's funny to me because like she only becomes dangerous if it's true. Right. And like, what happens if you're dangerous? They get rid of you, you know, like, we know that the power of influence, like, because I'm just drawn back to the gang stalking that Tracy felt. And then because if one has to be true, the other has to be true, right? Like, if she was gang stalked enough to where she killed herself, being Tracy, because she never made any wild claims that she would. Because this is the thing. Let's say Amy believed her shit up until a certain point, kind of like with Isaac Cappy. Isaac Cappy believed his own shit up to a certain point, and both of them. Because if you go by Isaac Cappy's last video, he says, I got some shit wrong. I got it really wrong, and I feel really bad. And, you know, because he didn't say he was going to kill himself then, but like he kind of, like if there's any truth to the claims, I'd say, okay, maybe a fake source led him down a path. He rode real hard, died on that hill, and then was embarrassed. Let's say we go that way with her, right?
Okay.
Oh man, I lost where I was going because I was just going to bring it around. Now it sounds like I'm trying to debunk it.
Do you think that would be that kind of embarrassment, humiliation would be enough?
Oh yeah. Right, but the gang stalking, like you can't ignore the gang stalking.
Going
right?
on
Like
the entire time.
Yeah, the gang stalking doesn't exist without the opposing thing being true. You know, like you wouldn't be like all right, because I'm trying to put it up to light with like the recent events with David Wilcock, right? Because Tracy also made no claims of anything that she should be embarrassed of. She's speculating in history. People do that shit all the time. People make up the dumbest things all the fucking time. You know, like, so I can't see her with her very based in historical reference being ousted as a fraud. You know, she also made no money on most of her books. You know, a lot of her interest came after she passed, sadly enough. You know, like.
Well, my theory on the whole Tracy thing is it probably had to do with her significant other. But I'm not going to get into all that. Okay, so
it's just I'm tying in the correlations between all these things.
Yes,
like,
yes, the group stalking and the fact that they have these weapons that can make you feel like you're losing your mind. They cause real harm, but they're not hurting anyone else. And you know, the more reports you make of this, the more times you say this happened to me, and other people have no frame of reference, the nuttier and nuttier you're going to start looking. And that's by design. It's like what they did to the UFO people, right? Back in the day, just gaslight them.
Well, now in my weirdo research, like, I always love looking back on history and seeing where we've been duped by the elite. And I don't think they should be called elites. Somebody brought up a very good point of now calling them the parasite. The parasitic branch of society, you know. But now, because of looking into all this stuff, like I found through time, like where in so many textbooks where these are like 500-600 year accounts of like a prince just fucking with people with a wacky invention that he had found, or like a queen showing a court a certain thing, or like you going into a castle and finding out that if you stand in one corner of a room and hundreds and hundreds of, maybe not hundreds of feet, but pretty fucking far away on the opposite end, if you whisper, you can hear that exact thing on the other side. Like just normal acts of manipulation to get you to do whatever thing they lightly prank you, possibly. But a lot of this time it was for them to make more money and to kind of hoax you out of some shit, you know. Magic. I don't think that they've ever stopped enjoy doing that, you know, and now the technology has only gotten better, you know, like I think it just continues to happen. Just the players have changed because, well, they fucking die over time, you know. But I just can't see, like, we're told all the time, these don't exist. You're an idiot. DWs don't exist. The harassment campaigns don't exist. And then we find CIA reports, or we find DIRTS documents, or we find papers written by Michael Aquino talking about how to not only do this, but to do it in the best, most efficient way to like capitalize on somebody else's like superstitions or whatever, right? And then we can even get into the remote viewing and shit. Like that doesn't exist. That was never a thing. But then all of a sudden, oh, it's declassified now. Okay, it was a thing, but it didn't work. Yeah, but like before any of these things, we had people complaining about like, oh man, I think the government is fucking with me in these specific ways. But now 20 years later, we find a paper from 10 years before that where the government was discussing how to weaponize the fucking thing. You know, like
this slide here is from General McCaslin's 2013 presentation.
Oh man, I
and right there,
this stuff.
Directed energy. Lasers, beam control, high power microwaves.
Especially if you consider from
2013.
Like aerospace is the one that's really trying to do that, because there's no, like, as much as ethics wants to barge its silly moral head into aerospace, anything, once you get outside of any continental law, you're fucking free to do whatever the hell you want. You know, like, as long as they don't catch you, and by that I mean us, as long as the people don't catch you doing said shit, like you can do whatever you want. Oh yeah, hence the island, hence also Russia, right? Like, do you think we would have ever found out about Russia's? They had put a pretty big fucking railgun on the end of one of their satellites, right? And it was they had coined it as the satellite killer. We've come up with 10 different ways of doing that and put them up there already. Especially like the rods of God. I'm pretty sure that we have probably 6 satellites right now that are working with tungsten rods for unknown reason. But like,
you don't say.
But like with that, we know Russia had a gun on and this is like in the 60s. They had planned to have a gun on a thing, and the only reason why I think anything happened to that was because our own CIA outed their plan for it, and it was put in the news. But But I don't know, man. We find all these bits of technology where they claim that this shit is fake, and then they have it. They have it. Clearly have it. You know, Salvatore Pais is a fucking... He's a quack. How many people have called that man a quack, right? But he works for the fucking Navy's branch of fucking... what is it? Their labs... I'm not even going to claim to know the name right now.
The NIA or something like that?
Yeah. He is officially in that capacity working for them, has worked for them, has patents licensed by them and funded by them. Like he's admitted, he was like, I don't have the money to do this in my own personal garage, you know. So yes, I do work for this. I love the Ashton Forbes interview with Salvatore Pais, especially with how giggly, because like Sal is a pretty awesome dude to talk to about things, but like if you can fucking get him stoked on something, like he gets giggly in a good way, not giggly in a fucking Richard Doty way, but he gets giggly like, oh, finally somebody's like wants to chat science in an area I can talk about. So just watching that and hearing him talk about how he works for these things, and he's like, yeah, no, it's pseudoscience. But I'm working for the government doing said pseudoscience, and I have patents that would be considered pseudoscience by 1990s standards, you know?
Right. And the thing to remember too is the only things we can really refer to from back then are the paperwork. And it was very easy to just throw that in the fire or manipulate it back then. It's like that old saying, you know, the winners write the history books. I think it's very true in this field as well.
Everything that was going on, she was definitely being harassed. There was energy weapons being used. I'm actually looking at the pictures of when that event happened. Let me see the actual date. This was in June 4th of 2020.
When disclosure comes around, when the moment comes, are we going live with everyone? Who can we trust? How do we transfer the information? You know, what exactly do?
So my vision of disclosure, I like the library thing, sending it to libraries on a certain day. What I had sort of envisioned is I want to publish the paper on archive.com, because you absolutely cannot publish this in a peer-reviewed journal, because the peer review committee will laugh you out of there, but they'll send it to all of their friends.
I say we do everything we possibly can. So
Correct.
We need to reach out. We need to have a group of all of the media vendors that we can possibly control and ask them all to pitch in, give them all the information all at once, and just spam the internet with it.
I can tell you for a fact, so many prototypes. Only prototype built like this in the world. You turn it on the first time, it works exactly like you thought it would the first time. Great data. You apply for more funding to test it more thoroughly, they cancel it. It goes to NASA divestment. It goes to the auction block. People bid on it. And literally scrap metal vendors win the bid if we had spent money differently. I can tell you the names of so many NASA scientists that are depressed and they want to kill themselves because they have built prototype after prototype after prototype in Huntsville, Alabama. First in the world, never before seen, worked the first time you turned it on exactly like you thought. And it was canceled and melted down for scrap metal. Tamar is...
I wonder if those projects and those prototypes were the ones she was talking about getting her hands on with the Institute that have been shelved. Because if you could outbid the scrap metal guy, you could get some fucking crazy prototype that actually works. And how fucked up is it that these scientists are depressed because they're presenting things that work the first time they use them, and they're told, nope, we're not going to get more into that. And a guy that sells a metal for money gets his hands on it. How wild.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're being crazy. We're noticing things that don't need to be noticed. Mr. Gabriel.
I know. That's so inconvenient.
I just received a letter, by the way. Just had a picture. I'm not even going to say what's the picture of, but I changed my mind. This is worse than the letter that we got last time. So, but yeah, we were not even going to get into that one because I'm not even supposed to mention that one.
Oh shit! You're going to get us in trouble.
Yeah, I'm going to get us in a lot of trouble. All right, so we're what? All right, we're going to change the complete. So have you seen the film Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? This is crazy. Nope. This is crazy. How are we not supposed to, like? I don't know. I can also say this: like we've not called her parents. We've not rubbed this in anyone's faces. I personally try to be as respectful as possible. I've noticed that you have done the exact same thing on the respect front and not calling her parents and being a total piece of shit. So, like,
no, yeah.
Why do they keep attributing that to, like, just asking, like, hey, are we sure that this was above board?
Right. Or why not like, hey, okay, we know what you saw, and we're not doubting what you saw, your daughter like that. And we're not even necessarily doubting that she's the one that did it. But don't we want to find out who drove her to this point? Everybody seems to agree she was getting fucked with. Nobody cares about who it was, and nobody wants to look into that any further. Just, yep.
Well, that was a weird angle of like, if one thing is true, then like, why are we ignoring the other possibility of like, somebody drove her to that for what fucking reason? You know, like I can't believe that there's a big enough portion to drive people to do that. They just do it for the fun of it.
Right.
It doesn't work for me.
No. Yeah, that one doesn't work for me either, buddy.
It's funded by the German Air Force to publish null results. That conference, that Jim Woodward conference, invite only, exclusive shit. It was basically Jim Woodward's grad students presenting for the mock effect. And then it was like Martin Tamar's grad students presenting against the mock effect. And then it was Spook fucking City. And that was the whole conference, basically. Spook fucking City. I met him in Huntsville. Oh, whatever. I took them to drinks that night. Hal and Lou. I don't know. You maybe don't know my history. Hal has been to my house like 3 times, like to my personal home. I was living in Seattle for like 3 or 4 years. I was doing the entrepreneur thing. I had like an encryption company where I was like doing encrypted, like end-to-end encrypted file storage stuff for like privacy, security, whatever. And so I was in Seattle, and my dad got poached by this weird ass investor. Long story. Weird ass investor poached my dad out of NASA. And this weird ass investor who lives in Austin, Texas, he's a real estate investor in Austin, Texas, made all his money doing real estate for GE in Moscow.
Weird ass angel investor that poached her dad, who did real estate deals for General Electric in Russia. And this guy brought Hal Puthoff into their home.
Whatever. This investor brings Hal to our house 3 times. I was present for one of the times. I happened to be home from Seattle at the same time that Hal came over. And I sat with him in my dining room over there at the dining room table. And he was talking about ultra terrestrials. And basically ultra terrestrials are like, he talks about extraterrestrial. Extra implies that they're from somewhere else, from the outside. Extra implies they're from not here, from ultra terrestrial.
They're from the dog.
They're not necessarily from the outside. They're from here.
Oh.
They look like you and me. If you don't know, I don't know. Hal talks about ultra terrestrials, and they're from here. They're from here, but why are they so much better? So the ultra terrestrials, I'll just tell you, the ultra terrestrials, I think, have you heard of the P-52s and the P-47s? Do you know what that is? They're us from the future. There's a calamity, right? So there's like a apocalypse scenario in the near future. It wipes out most of like everything, man. And there's the ones that go underground and survive, right? And then there's the ones that somehow stay on the surface and miraculously don't die.
Okay, I had to leave that in because that's fucking crazy. Because before she made that statement, she said she wasn't the kind of person that like really went down the crazy rabbit holes on UFOs or aliens or anything. She heard ultra terrestrials from the dude that actually wrote the paper, Hal Puthoff, and then she put it together in her head that they're these P-52s, P-47s, whatever. That's the Dan Burrish story. And that's a story I've also spent a lot of time and made several videos about, because it's a very fascinating story. And it's also a topic Mike Masters gets into, which is that it was, you know, these aren't necessarily aliens, extraterrestrials. They are us from the future, traveling back here to do God knows what. I mean, from there, it's all speculation, I think. But it's all speculation, but they do believe. There's a lot of people that believe that these visitations are coming from us in the future. So I just thought that was crazy. Had to leave
We're
that in.
talking 2020, May of 2020, May 15th, 2020 is when I actually met Amy. I flew to Huntsville. Amy Catherine Eskridge. She probably was Jewish, actually. She is the
Hold on, pause that.
middle child
Pause it.
of three. She has an older brother and a younger brother. Her parents, her
I'm
Had to
getting
find a button.
I'm getting real suspicious of what his problem with the sweet Jewish people are right now. You know?
Well, I think he's Jewish.
That son of a bitch. Knew it.
But no, I noticed that too. He actually mentions a few times her bloodline, and in that video with her and Jeremy and him, he even brings it up there as well. So I'm not sure what Mark's fascination with Amy's heritage was, but definitely it was something he was interested in.
Yeah, more ways than one, because of the lineage with her dad is like, all right. Like, I don't know. The credence they're willing to give her beforehand
Say it,
and now
Flack.
take away from her. Yeah, it's funny. It's all funny. It's funny. This guy's funny. Fucking her dad's a little bit funny now. You know, like you weren't calling her out like that when you were trying to get in her pants. You know, and like Jeremy was all fucking like, oh, he started dating her. I think Jeremy was a little jealous, one, and two, he tried getting in her pants. Remember that. He was the one who was thinking about it before they started dating. About like, oh, hey, I could kill two birds with one stone here.
Yes.
You know,
and
so
that was his quote.
good job, Red, for getting these fancy questions out
Mhm.
and in. We love you.
Yep. Because now we can watch and go, oh.
Her mother is Kathy, I think, and her father is Richard. And they live in Joppa, Alabama, which is on the outskirts of Huntsville. Her dad, Richard, worked with the likes of John Brandenburg, Tony Robertson, and they had as part of one of the side projects of Huntsville. Huntsville is famous for making the rocket engines that got us to the moon, and they had a side project looking into alternative propulsion concepts. And Richard was on one of those teams, and he was researching some of that stuff, and he come across something interesting, and that's what Amy is talking about when she said, you know, anti-gravity technology. She's really talking about what her father discovered. At the time that I met her, she was living at her parents' house, running the institute. So I flew down there in May of 2020, and we met for the first time. Brilliant scientist. She was extremely smart. She went to the Huntsville University, or University of Alabama, Huntsville, to study biology. I wanted to figure out what is this anti-gravity stuff that she keeps talking about. She talked about it in like secret terms, and was very interested in there was a lot of emphasis on who controls it, what they're going to do with it. It kind of gave you the feeling like we're going to take over the world here. We're super powerful. Kind of gets to your ego when you talk to somebody like that. We'd go around to bars in Huntsville, and I was never a big drinker, but like following her around, like it was tough to keep up with her. Huntsville is known as one of the prime locations where people would go, where other countries would go for corporate espionage. There's a lot of spies in Huntsville, so it's not surprising that there was a lot of people listening, and they hear this little Alabama girl talking about that she's got anti-gravity going on in the garage, you know, and
It's a lot of spies, but apparently none of ours. Just spies from other places. Our guys are busy in Iran, I guess.
they were probably interested in that. She never actually did any work in that field other than, the Institute, which is a method of funding people to work in this.
What was she saying before she got to you about so I didn't realize that, so the harassment and stuff was already happening when you kind of came into her fold?
Yeah, it was going on. It was part of her life at that point. It was it was pretty nuts. I wasn't sure what to make of it. I wanted to see it myself, see whether this, is she completely nuts?
Did she tell you when it started, or was there a trigger point that really, that's when it's all right, you're on some list now, this happened because I did or said this, or a year even when it really started?
It started when she started talking about anti-gravity, I believe. There was these energy attacks, Havana syndrome. It was happening with her and her husband. I think his name was Michael, and basically splitting headaches, feeling like your skin's on fire. That follows with nausea and vomiting. There was muscle spasms, and I saw all that firsthand, like that, and it was also accompanied with email attacks. There was hacking attempts, and she was always talking about her secret space program handlers. She thought that some of her boyfriends were actually agents for the secret space program, and they were there to handle her, to report back to their superiors or something like that. Yeah. So when she was here, we were sitting on the couch, and we had just made popcorn. We were going to watch a movie, and the popcorn in the bowl started to pop again. And, it already cooled off, so it started to pop again. And
Whoa.
she started to
You witnessed that yourself?
It was in my
too?
It was in my hand.
Wow.
And she started to scream and vomit. And she's telling me they're attacking us. I opened up the door where, the energy weapon would have been emanating from, because it was just in line with the couch. And sure enough, parked across the street in where there was a parking lot. But the parking lot is for a restaurant. The restaurant was closed because of the pandemic. The car was parked not in a parking spot, but facing the door. And the front windshield was tinted, which is illegal. The front windshield of the car was tinted. And I thought that was very suspicious. I ran back inside. We went into the Faraday cage, and she was trembling. We were really scared about that. Simultaneously, they hacked my Amazon account and put a gun in the checkout, like a BB gun. Yeah, there definitely was, high strangeness and espionage going on with that. I'll send you whatever pictures I have from that event. So we went into the Faraday cage, and to protect us from whatever weapon it was, and I think it stopped at that point. She also had these weird tremors and constant body pain. She was taking medication for that. I mean, the kind of stuff that was going on in her life was enough to make anyone crazy. Constant harassment, and I don't really understand what they were trying to accomplish by doing it. But I would hazard a guess that it was because she was talking about anti-gravity without actually talking about anti-gravity. She wasn't saying what she was doing. She was just saying that she has the secret sauce. And there's nothing more intriguing to a spy agency than to hear that you have the secret sauce, but you're not sharing it. The best guess we have is that it was China.
What drew you guys to those conclusions?
And this is not my guys. This is my opinion based on. So one email she got that she thought was a phishing hack. She went into the metadata of it, and I don't know what she was doing, but eventually she came to the conclusion that that phishing email came from China. Great. There's another group that was also doing anti-gravity research in Texas, Midland, Texas. What's their name again? Whatever. It's another company researching stuff like this. They also came to the conclusion that China was doing espionage on their work as well. Yeah, we were dating. It was yeah, we were boyfriend and girlfriend. I was more interested. It wasn't really like I wasn't flying to Huntsville for pussy. You know, I wasn't really interested in her for her body. I was more interested in the anti-gravity stuff, which was a lot more exciting, to be honest. And I wanted to work with her dad. I wanted to set up shop there. We went looking for houses to, like, you know, those movable houses that you can move onto her property.
Like, I wonder, do you think he just like said that to her? Like, sure, we could be,
I'm pretty sure maybe
fuck buddies or whatever, but really I just care about the research and your dad.
I think that it might have come out in one way or another, because I could see, like, let's say in the loosest representation of, like, oh, because she said something about rape, like, if that's what she finds out and she actually liked him, and she's like, you didn't love me and you slept with me to get at my research and my thing. That's a loose way of framing how I could see she would think it's a rape in some sort of way. You know what I mean? At least if she's manipulated into sleeping with him. You know,
I think her word was rapey.
Yeah, it is. That is. I can see it. It's a shitty, like. Oh man,
I'm not saying that's what he was doing. She was using that as a description for, the other handlers that she'd had in the past.
Yeah, but that kind of sounds like what he's saying. You know, like let's say you found out a girl is dating you, just because she thinks that the band you're in is cool, but she like just wants to get in with the guitarist, the other guitarist.
Feels so dirty.
Yeah, you would be like, this whole relationship's a sham, and you basically slept with me under false. Like, I don't know if I would go as far as claiming that, but I'd be like, this is bullshit. I'm gonna call bullshit on that one. You know, I could see why she would have a grudge against him.
I think he says they lasted for about 3 months, so obviously not a long time. And the thing about like this story is it's a very, it's a human story. We're all humans. We all fuck up. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And so I want to be clear. Like, I don't think there's really a bad guy here. Like, I don't think Mark Sokol's a bad guy. I don't think Jeremy Reese is a bad guy. I don't think Amy Eskridge is a bad guy. I just think it was a shitty situation that they all found themselves in the middle of. But yeah, it is weird that I've never considered that when considering seeing someone, what information could I get out of them, and is their dad famous? It's kind of weird.
And also, like, if she's being a chatty Cathy at the bar,
right?
I'm gonna assume she's gonna spill the beans. Like, I think she knew what the fuck she was talking about. Her dad was in that research for how long? Like, I think he definitely was taking his work home with him.
Yeah, for sure. And you can watch that whole interview. I'm pretty sure Jeremy still has it up on his channel, Alien Protocols, I think it is. But you can still watch that full interview. There's a lot of very, very interesting stuff in that video.
They own like 10 acres. It's like a huge piece of land. I'm like, we could set up shop over here. There's these cheap houses. I was, all open to cool ideas and, moving this anti-gravity stuff that they apparently have forward. So when I got to meet her dad, she introduced me as, hey, this is Mark. He's working on the Alzaphon experiment. And her dad was like really excited about that. That's really cool. And her dad is like a really sweet old man. Father was a true believer. He believed that it's real. He thinks that there's there's this other force, and before Amy would tell me about it, she made me sign a non-disclosure agreement, which I signed. And then she went on to tell me about the spin couple force. And I could tell you everyone about this right now because they already published their paper. Dating Amy was really was a really interesting affair. Like normally, when you're dating somebody, you guys fight on, you could fight over money, you could fight over relationship. Oh, you looked at that girl too nice. We were fighting over the definition of an electron or the hyperfine coupling. It was a very strange relationship. It was pretty interesting.
Full on fight?
I guess if you feel like you're getting used, it probably would be. I wonder if she ever got any vibes like that.
Fights are like playful fights.
No. Like she got angry, like literally angry. She called me names and fuck and this and that, like cursing her. She had a nasty mouth. Like she was a spicy Alabama girl, and there was lots of curses and lots of all this stuff. Also, I tend to notice that people that crossed her or people that were in any way in competition with her, she would find a lot of stuff to say about them. It was like the ultimate bluff. Oh, I have the secret to life in the universe, but I'm not going to share it with you, and I'm ripping the Wi-Fi card out of my computer so you can't find it. So imagine what an espionage, the Chinese or the secret space program, or whoever it was, whoever the people that were in charge of this espionage. Imagine what they would do. It's possible the Russians were involved too. I have no idea. I mean, okay. I never really got to meet anyone that was involved on the other side. It was kind of always in the shadows, and it stopped as soon as I stopped being connected to Amy. So I don't think it's the anti-gravity research itself. I think it was more of I got the secret sauce and hiding it. It's this you put a nice term on it before, but
bluff.
Yeah, it's the bluff. It's the bluff that they were chasing. No, she didn't have anything. Like it was her father that had everything, and her father, everything that her father had is public knowledge. It's all in a paper. The Pope Osborne spin whatever force it's called Poems. You can look it up. He published the paper back in 2022 or something like that. After me and Amy broke up, he finally published the paper, which I'm very glad about. So for anyone who's out there saying that there was a cover up and they're killing her for the science, I don't buy that.
While you were dating, Jeremy Reese, and I've seen some posts, and he's kind of spoken about it. He was under the impression that she was like a honeypot, right? And that she had maybe, I think at one conference or something, kind of prevented you guys from presenting something. Can you maybe speak on that dynamic and why Jeremy thought that?
Oh, okay. That's after we broke up. So Amy had this thing of, have you heard of the law of attraction? What you think,
yes.
What you think about, you bring about. So I live my life by that principle. Everyone lives their life by that principle, whether they know it or not. It's true. What you think about, you attract to yourself, and whatever. And Amy had that to a very, very.
Yeah, I saw The Secret. What was that, like 2007 or something?
Strong degree, and at some point she decided that I was an agent of some sort, and I was trying to steal anti-gravity disclosure from her. I kid you not.
How many months into your relationship was that? And is that kind of what?
Okay, so they're a few months in, 2 to 3 months, somewhere in there. And she decides that he is a spy, or at least trying to steal what she knows and take over the anti-gravity disclosure movement, apparently. Maybe that isn't true, but he also said he was seeing
But that's
her.
where Jeremy's a fucking retard, maybe, because I don't. Oh, honeypotting for what? She has the shit. They're leeching off of her for whatever the fuck she could bring them.
It seems like he's the
Jeremy's
honeypot.
Yeah, well, bingo, number one. But what is she getting from them two?
Right. Well, they're supposed to be the actual scientists.
Well, her dad was the actual scientist and printed a fucking paper, and that's evident in 2022, which is funny because, like, technically, it's only. Oh man! So like, it doesn't negate any of the claims that we're all making about how fucking weird this whole thing is, right? It only points that you got fucking lucky that her dad decided to publish the paper, else you still would not have that science.
Right. Right.
Like, that's the only reason why they have it now, and that's after they split. I wouldn't be surprised if her dad just did that to get him to fuck off, you know?
Possibly.
And now this is the thing, right? So her understanding of any of those principles before he printed that fucking paper makes her valuable as much as she claims. So, like, proof in the pudding with her claims right there. Like, she wasn't bullshitting. That is. Oh, I mean, like, can he not prove any more of the point of the conspiracy theorist right now?
Yeah, and I just think it's so crazy that I'll look at my X feed and there's like people saying the story with the missing scientists now is, it's just bullshit. No.
Okay, if it's bullshit, then we have a bigger problem where our scientists just keep going fucking missing for no reason now rather than a reason, because they're still going missing. I mean, it's not like these people have been found or aren't dead. The ones who have died, this is just real fucking weird. How some people are super smart when it comes to one thing, but a complete idiot when it comes to just a normal logic with their own theories they put forth.
Yes, and I know it's always easier to say you do something because you're not in that situation. You don't exactly know what you'd say or you would do. But I would hope that if I believed that my daughter was driven to commit suicide, I would do my damnedest to find out who the fuck did it. But that's just me. At least I hope that's how I would react. Not burn the body and let's not talk about this anymore. Let's not do interviews. Let's not do documentaries. Let's not. No.
Well, her dad
sounds like a scared old man.
Yeah, her dad is definitely suspect, especially because like he worked for her fucking his company. Did she not? And I mean, like, I don't think she's ever claimed that she sat in a lab inventing all these things herself. She's talking about bringing forth things that already exist. This is not like she's kind of putting herself in the salesman role between entities, right? Like between
there was this really
tech and between
this really successful guy named Steve Jobs that did something like that.
Well, that's what I'm pointing out.
Very important role.
It's a managerial type of thing, like you'd be a head of a group of, like you were explaining to me what was it? The manager, director of
project manager.
There you go. Boom. That's the one where like you're explaining her role and then her role trying to sell that project off to whatever. She talked about getting investors and things like.
Right.
I mean, he's just explaining a very real job role that fucking exists in a science capacity. You know what I mean? She's not sitting there working out the equations on her own. She doesn't need to do that. She's making sure you get the fucking money to fund your shit. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. So the only reason why I'm being this abrasive about it is because I don't think I've heard her make the claims that she's inventing anything herself.
No, she hasn't. And that
she keeps like her team is what she keeps referring to, right?
Right. And I mean, you're noticing the same thing I was noticing is that it's almost like there's still some kind of hostility there. And definitely trying to paint a picture of who Amy was, as she was this vindictive, too smart for her own good.
If I'm being honest, and no hate towards Mark, it sounds like he had more of a crush on her father than he did on her, right?
Yeah, and there's actually a segment in here. I was in this space later. I didn't get into the space until later, where I asked him a couple questions, but he wouldn't speculate at all on what I asked him about. So yeah, I just don't know. It's just a weird way to look at things after she's passed. You think there'd be more grace, and there's just not.
A couple of months in, probably maybe like 3 or 4 or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but she believed that I was trying to steal her God-given right to disclose to the world how anti-gravity works. And that's why we broke up. Paranoia leads to you doing shit that is detrimental to what you were trying to achieve. And in a sense, what she did as a result of that belief led to that actually happening. So right now I run the biggest anti-gravity research lab in the world that I know of.
Pause it there, because he's kind of like skipping through in his timeline to explain how she was in the past, but also ignoring the fact that was done in the past before he entered the timeline. Like
he's only there for 3 months.
Yeah, and he witnessed shit while he was there for 3 months. But then trying to claim like it happened after he had already figured out that she was like blowing smoke up people's ass. You know what I mean? Where she had kind of created the problem for herself. But like the problem existed before she had supposedly created it for herself, right?
Exactly. He said like, because remember he said like, I wanted to see it for myself, whether it was true or not. And then she went to his house, and he did.
The Jeremy Reese interview with her is like one of the first that came out, right? Because I remember her talking about before that she didn't ever want to be seen or do anything with this because she wanted to do it the right way. And that's what I meant by like she showed me how to do podcasting, as far as getting a goal. You start when your shit is like to a level, like especially if you want to be taken seriously. So like she took it like a professional, and like it's her attitude in that gives her, I guess, gives me more credence to her argument for other things, right? Like same thing with Tracy. We've heard her talk so normally and candid and say like, hey, this sounds like wild speculation, but I'm just going through it because it needs to be gone through. She's based in reality with everything else. Why the fuck should we not? Everyone likes to party, right? Like some of us are a bit older now.
Sure, absolutely.
So if she's like, I know a lot of coders who I'm pretty sure you could classify them as fucking alcoholics, that because they have like 4 to 6 beers every time they fucking code while getting stoned. They have a bowl next to them, they're smoking weed, and they're drinking beers, just going at it for like 12 to 15 hours, just fucking coding. Where I'm like, you're a goddamn tank. Okay, you get the shit done. Like it's not ruining the rest of your life. That is your life. You're fucking crushing it. To where like you'd put your trust with all of your internet security in somebody's like that's hands, right? And then on the other hand, you won't take their advice on something else that they're noticing. When their job is pattern recognition in one, right? Like so, I don't know. They're gonna give her credibility in one thing and then prove another thing and then take all of it away in the next breath. Like,
right.
I don't like that.
And that was kind of the vibe I was getting through a lot of this. And this is significantly cut down. It's like a 4-hour space that they had, which I believe you can still find on Red Panda Koala's either his X page or his YouTube channel. So y'all, if you want to watch this whole thing, not this slimmed down edited version, it's all out there for you to consume, but it just takes time to go through it.
And a lot of that is thanks to Amy. Amy actually breaking up with me and throwing all this negative energy, because I took all her lemons and turned it into lemonade. Yeah, anyone that went through all of that, it's understandable why she would, why they would become paranoid and start believing. Opens her mic.
Whoops. Also, that's like the 4th or 5th time. I don't know. I lost count, I think around 4, where he has mentioned that she's bringing this into her own life. And she's doing this to herself because I don't know.
Negative thinking, because of negative
Negative
thinking over and
thinking.
over. But I mean, I don't know. At one point, is noticing a pattern turned into paranoia. You know, I guess when it ruins your life. But like, I don't know what I would do if I had noticed something like that happening to myself. Like I get a weird tingling feeling, and to then notice a fucking car, kind of like aiming some shit right at my fucking house. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't know, like
Popcorn was popping in your hand, dude.
I can't ignore shit like that. And then
no,
like you must have done something to
why,
alert somebody. You know,
why doesn't anybody care about who did this?
This seems like all cover your ass fucking behavior on everyone's part, especially the close family. You know, like this is the only shots I'm going to throw out towards them. We don't ever have to bring that shit up again.
Sure.
But like that's what this seems like, is cover your ass. I don't want this to happen to me. Let me like fucking back way the hell off. You know, because I don't know. Is he still working on his projects, or has he kind of like backed off the whole subject?
From what I understand, he did that paper got released in 22, and he's just not really involved in it anymore.
What about Sokol?
Oh, he's very heavily involved in it. Yeah,
that's
they're
even
still
weirder.
Still pursuing the anti-gravity stuff. Yeah, it's all very. So speaking of Jeremy Reese comes up in this conversation here and makes a few statements about his initial impressions of Amy, and apparently they never did meet in person. It was all through video.
And yeah,
and everything else that she was going through, but you know, who actually pulled the trigger, you know, and they talk about this in criminal cases. Like the person that pulls the trigger is not necessarily the one that's in, you know, because somebody could have a trigger to their head too, you know. And there's the mental state is involved as well. But she definitely was not in a good mental state. She should have been.
But we don't care about who did that to her.
She should have been hospitalized at that point if she was going off of nortriptyl cold turkey. So there's definitely malpractice on part.
So they weren't dating at the time, and I don't know, maybe her father told him this, or he read some article, but that drug he mentioned had prescribed it to her, and a few weeks before her death, she would have been telling Mark, because they weren't talking anymore. So she apparently was telling somebody that she was hearing voices. And so she decided she was going to quit that drug cold turkey. And when she did, very shortly after she quit that drug cold turkey, is when she went out and committed suicide.
I'd like to know how long. This is all HIPAA thing, so I don't know if we'll ever actually get this. But I'd like to know how long she was on it. I'd like to know how long she was off it, and how long the overlap between she was on it and heard the voices and then off it. You know, like those things could be pretty telling. I'm also kind of shocked people aren't like screaming fucking Lou Elizondo, because wasn't that his specialty? Wasn't that his little specialty in fucking Guantanamo?
I believe it comes up shortly here. Yeah.
Of her treating physicians, I think that I understand why they would think that. You know, it kind of makes sense that they would come to that conclusion, especially the things that she said. She kind of was saying stuff like that the entire time I dated her that if you ever hear that I killed myself, I didn't kill myself. And this is what I want written on my gravestone. It was like, it was a constant joke, like an ongoing story. So as somebody that actually knew her personally, I think I have a different perspective. But somebody who only knows her from, you know, what she said and what she's emailed, would definitely think that, yeah, you know, that there's a deeper conspiracy here.
You know, China did a lot of like weird conniving to make the 3-body problem a thing, right? Like, first off, like they're not really big on superstitious shit out there, and they did this whole like coup within the Hugo Awards to like make it where China had all this influence, and that was able to propel that book. I've heard rumors that it's part of Chinese disclosure. Obama recommends it, and in that book, there's a theme of like scientists committing suicide that reminds me almost of what happened with Marconi and Bay in like the 80s or some shit, where a bunch of like 20 of them committed suicide. Do you have any thoughts about that? I don't know. I think you can see where I'm going with that. Do you think that's at play at all?
They didn't just commit suicide. They all got like emails and traveled to the same exact town where they got in car accidents or died mysterious deaths or like were found dead, drowned and other weird deaths. So there's a whole bunch. That whole Marconi scientist death conspiracy thing is a whole other animal. You got to take things by a case basis and really just look at the evidence and the cases. And in every case, you know, there's always the UFO grifter journalists looking opportunistic, people trying to get in on the stories and take control of narratives for different reasons. Yeah, we met her at the Estes Park conference. We had sat in on the Estes Park conference and did a whole stream on that. And we were going to present our stuff at Estes Park and kind of introduce ourselves to that whole scene. And she interrupted us, or like, I forget what she did, but she somehow sabotaged our ability to go on and present at that conference. And so we kind of felt slighted by that. And we had decided we were going to just start hosting our own conferences and inviting people and interviewing them. And that's when I was like, oh, well, we got to get a good host for all this. And that's why I reached out to Tim Ventura, because he's like the OG with American Anti-Gravity. Amy, it was like, I just felt like she got so disruptive in the APEC group. She had joined all our WhatsApp groups, and we were having all these great discussions on anti-gravity and ideas to try, and we're going to try this, and we're going to try that, and we're going to try this, and we're going to try that. And she just came in and said, oh, none of that stuff will work. You guys are all wrong, and you guys are all idiots. And it's so simple, and I don't know why you can't figure it out. And I wish I could tell you, but it's all classified. And
tell them about the time-traveling disclosure princess.
Yeah, that's what my nickname was for her, was the time-traveling disclosure princess, because she is like the daughter of the king of anti-gravity. Her father, Richard Eskridge, was supposedly some big shot who knew all the inside secrets on NASA's anti-gravity research and had all this information and stuff, and she couldn't share any of it with us, but we were all wrong and always on the wrong track no matter what we were going to try or do. And but it was just kind of like it kind of got annoying after a while, because she never actually gave anything actionable intelligence-wise for that we could actually test, anything falsifiable or testable for us to try. It was always just this I have all these stories. I'm getting attacked with directed energy weapons, and I'm getting.
So as after hearing this, and I'm not making any accusations, but I'm saying how hearing these interviews sat with me. And after hearing that portion of the interview on top of everything else that Mr. Sokol had been saying, it seems low. And it seems very strange to me that they're laughing about the derogatory nicknames they had for her after her death. Bad form, as Captain Hook would say. Bad form.
Burned, and I'm getting about her. She found the nicotine packets in Walmart and thought that it was from herself and the time traveling back from the future to open those and send her a message. It was just weird stuff, and all the stories that she'd tell. So I was just like, after a while, it just got like people got fed up with her, and we were like, we need to like leave and create a new group that's Amy free, and nobody was harassing her. We didn't like go after her.
Jeremy, what about that knot? What about that knot that you found in?
But you did kind of go after her because your lead scientist, researcher, whatever, dated her to see what he could learn about it and get closer to her dad.
Plus, he's notorious for not, Jeremy, that is notorious for not realizing, like, when an AI is a fucking AI. He constantly calls that thing an idiot. Like, there have been about 100 spaces I've been in where he just pops up and goes, this guy's an idiot and doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
People that don't do live spaces all the time. Tell the folks what you're talking about.
Oh my God. On one of my own, we were running through an interview on somebody, Jesse Michaels talking about Bob Lazar with, I forget who it was with, but they were discussing a bunch of different shit, and Jeremy pops up, and first off, it was Logan's bot that was Snuggles, yeah, that was playing it for me, right? Like, so Logan had already pissed off and gone to sleep.
For those that aren't familiar, at Logan Black on X, we
Full Stack Logan,
Milburn and him, Full Stack Logan, had Frank Milburn and him discussing earlier in this video, which is some pretty radical, eye-opening information. But he has this wonderful little teddy bear called Snuggles. It's AI, and Snuggles will go in these spaces with him and just do all kinds of fun things. And so what you're saying is Jeremy came up in this chat and thought Snuggles was a person?
Yeah. Thought Snuggles was a person, and then proceeded to call everybody in the room an idiot, and we don't know what we're talking about because none of us know Bob Lazar, and Bob Lazar is a fraud. That wasn't even part of the conversation. We were going over a story that kind of like, it mentioned Bob Lazar, I think, for like fucking 2 minutes, man. And we had been going for like 40. It was like an hour and a half long thing. We were just trying to run through it so that we could talk about it after. And he pops in, and he wanted to ruin in the whole space because he freaks out on this thing and wouldn't shut up the whole fucking time. And instead of booting him like I should have, where I was like, you know what? I know he has a documentary about Bob. Let's talk to Jeremy and get his idea on what he thinks about this. So I mute Snuggles, which cancels him out. Now he can't come back on because Logan has gone back to sleep, and Logan would have to work the mute on that. Now the worst part is that I do this, and then Miss Morpho pops up, and while I'm doing that, I'm like, you know what? Let me do a little bit of housekeeping, and I'll just say like, hello, good morning. So I say hi, and then Miss Morpho says good morning as Jeremy's saying something. And it causes him to freak out, and he leaves. So now we didn't have like anything to play. We didn't have anyone to talk to about their expertise on Bob Lazar. So like it just killed the space. But he freaked out, man. He's doing what he claimed Amy was doing. I don't know.
Well,
it's a little hypocrisy I saw.
I reached out to him a while back, and he had agreed to come on my show and do a little interview, but then he just ghosted me. I reached out to Mark Sokol, who never responded, and the closest I was ever able to get to Mark Sokol was the 1 or 2 questions I asked him in this space, which really was just going to be my opening questions, but you know how spaces are when there's a lot of people.
In the window shades.
Right. I mean, it was just a crazy knot with lots of things tied into it, and I blame the cat. He must have done it. I don't know. It was just something.
So what they're talking about here, apparently, Jeremy saw a very complex, strange knot in his blinds. The rope that hangs down from your blinds. You pull on them. Go up and go down. I don't know what the technical name of those are, But apparently he got home
The
one day.
pull the up or down or string. I think that's the professional.
That's the technical. Yep, I think you got it. And it was tied in some weird, intricate knot and had things attached to it. I don't know. And for whatever reason, it really messed with him. But it turns out he was testing Mark. Take a listen to this.
Weird, but I wish I knew a knot language, because it would have been interesting to decipher that one if there was a message there. But yeah, knots are.
I guess talking to Amy and like hearing all these conspiracies kind of gets you into that mindset where you look at a knot and you freak out about it, because you were freaking out about it.
Well, I was also trying to test you. I was also like testing you to see how deeply you believe in some of the stuff too, because it's like I never got zapped with the directed energy weapons. I've felt like maybe sometimes that
peanut butter and jelly
it could be like signals messing with my brain and.
So he was testing Mark to see how far he believed in high strangeness, I guess.
Well, he also used the dumb shit thing that like it's a nitwit debunker has ever hit me with. And this is since I've been a kid. Anybody who I've really ever talked to, they usually hit me with this, where when they don't believe what I'm talking about, they'll go, oh, damn, I lost my train of fucking thought. Jeez.
Nitwit detector?
Yeah, no, I forgot where the hell I was going with that one. I saw something
so
shiny.
What you're saying is is it common for people with higher IQ if these folks
I got it.
IQ,
If I haven't seen something, that surely means you haven't seen something. That's where I was going with that one. Where he's like, oh well, I'm seeing if you believe it, because if I believe it, like that whole thing. But he's kind of also alluding to like what I've heard about like with flying saucers in a way was like oh, I've never seen this, so therefore you couldn't have seen this, because he was trying to bring in Amy into this, right, and with a paranoia and that shit. And it's like, well, that's kind of like anything anecdotal that you see. You try to back engineer what technology could be possibly.
Right.
But same thing with that. Like, you're noticing harassment, you're trying to back engineer where the fuck that could come from in any sort of capacity, right?
But who does that to a friend though? It's just the whole thing is just weird.
Somebody who's jealous.
It's
Somebody
the little
who's jealous, right? Like he's not getting gang stalked, right? He's not getting directed energy weaponed. That's where I lost my train of thought. By the way, he trying to go down the directed energy weapon rabbit hole with his statement right there kind of just threw me on one where it's like, oh, just because it hasn't happened to me, it totally didn't happen to you. You're not any better.
And I'm the legitimate one. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So it speaks to his ego.
Yeah. 100%.
I feel like that sometimes, but I don't have direct proof or any kind of like, evidence for that.
Did you ever meet her in real life, or did you ever meet her in real life, or your interactions all over the internet mostly?
I don't think I was ever down there at the same time as her. Was I, Mark? I don't know. I don't ever remember. I don't remember ever.
Okay. So Mark has to tell him he doesn't remember if he met Amy? Huh?
Yeah, that's weird, especially at any of the conferences, especially the one that he's claiming that Amy screwed them over and made them not talk about something. Like, I thought that was a conference they were all at together, where Amy.
They were. It was a Zoom conference.
Oh,
this is during COVID. Okay. This is 2020 pandemic.
Bud. Yeah. Cool. Okay, I thought it was all right, never mind. I missed the COVID portion of that.
Yeah, cool. This is all online. All online.
I thought it was a physical conference, like old-timey UFO conference.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it used to be, and then COVID, changed everything up, and then all you needed was just a Zoom link and a password, and you were in.
You know what? I think that technically counts as meeting, especially if like you weren't allowed to meet during that time. Because
absolutely.
That should be an asterisk around meeting, but technically you fucking met. It's
a legitimate conference. Just not all the stuff you can do when you're in person.
Mhm.
And yeah, she did. She went there and prevented them from presenting what she believed was her ideas. That's why she had Mark Sokol sign a non-disclosure agreement. So again, we're hearing one side of the story, and the other side is no longer with us. So we kind of have to
If
do
I
the
know
arguing
Jeremy's
for her.
personality, like I think that if that was his ideas and he thought that they were his ideas, I don't think that he would have allowed her to do that.
Exactly. Wouldn't have
So,
stopped him.
and I think a lawsuit, an impending lawsuit, especially NDA style lawsuits, which usually means that it's pretty fucking easy to get your money from the guy who signed the NDA if they broke any of those rules. Where it sounds like if it was your shit, you wouldn't be breaking rules if you talked about it.
Right. So and again, I just think it's so strange. You don't remember if you met her in person? I mean, I know Jeremy's a busy guy, but he's not like Joe Rogan busy.
Meeting her in person. I only remember Zoom conferences or Skype, whatever, online calls and stuff. And so, and a lot of the, APEC chats back when I used to do the WhatsApp, it just got too much.
But you did enjoy some of it, I'd imagine. Like on that stream, the infamous stream now, you guys do seem like you're having a grand old time, right? It wasn't all like bad. There was good times, or for you, for your experience with her, was it all pretty much kind of like weirdness?
Well, I mean, it was fun. We were hanging out, we were drinking and smoking, and my audio I was recording my audio output on my thing with the software that I used. I just wanted to screen capture and keep a record of it, just because
You thought she might have been a spy.
I just didn't know, and I just was like a little bit curious, and I'm glad I did, because then she killed herself, and it was all these rumors around about her, mental state, and I was like, well, this was her mental state within a couple weeks of when she did that, so it was a nice window into her whole world and who she was.
That was actually a couple of years before, like 2 years before.
It was 2 years before.
He thought that was 2 weeks before her murder. It was 2 years, before her suicide. He's like, we recorded this 2 weeks before she died, so I figured I'd release it. No, you recorded it 2 years before she died.
You were half right. Technically, it's a self-murder, but half right on that one. I'll go on the side.
I just don't even know if there's a word for it. Like it's just crazy.
Four? No way.
That video
was like a couple months before, if anything. No.
No, that was in the summer of 2020, and she killed herself in summer of 2022. 2 years before.
Really? Oh, wow, huh?
These guys are going to figure out anti-gravity.
Yeah, and it got worse after that too, according to her dad, because I didn't know her then.
Right. When did you stop talking to her and cut ties with her?
Around the time that Jeremiah came over and Apex started. That was like September of 2020.
Yeah, we started getting all these key interviews, and it started taking off. And you know what? I really feel like, if anything, she felt like she was supposed to lead this group and be part of this big disclosure movement somehow, and that she felt slighted by when we started APEC, because everyone in APEC was pretty much like, if you don't have anything to present or actually contribute, then get lost. And she was just like, crap, I can't, I don't know, because when we first met her, she had like everyone in the Estes Park conference like wrapped around her finger. I mean, she was like the princess of the whole, I don't know, everyone was just like, it was a bunch of these old men that were just loved her. And I don't know, it's kind of a weird scene. And then
so the person that you're looking to raise funds for this research is really good at getting these people wrapped around her finger, and you saw that as a bad thing? That's interesting.
Yeah, weird. I don't know. It's almost as if she's doing kind of like what was asked.
Yeah, like running the institute.
What do you think of Frank, the Frank Milburn character too? Because like he's the, I guarantee you that's who got in Ross's ear and convinced him that it was more not just a suicide. Because I don't know, I tend to agree with Mark. I think like I'm probably 90% that it was a suicide, but I'm always open if like someone were to come along and be like, dude, she had this, but like as far as I know, like all these rumors that I read, it's like she was not a brilliant, like a super brilliant scientist, as far as I could tell. There's lots of women scientists that are brilliant out there.
Okay, so here's one kind of diagram on what's happening now. These are the current missing scientists that they say it's just random. They all fall under the executive branch.
Yep, random.
Random.
I'm sending you a Faraday cage this weekend, buddy. It might be about 3,000 pounds, but you're going to have to incur the shipping costs. So I'm giving you a free Faraday. The $17,000 shipping you incur.
Yeah. Do you remember that? You probably don't, but I sent you a message a long time ago with a lady's name in it. And I was asking if you thought there was any validity to what she was saying.
Yeah, I remember you asking. I don't know if I've ever come across her name again, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll have to do like another space on it, because what she is saying is that because of the billion routers out there and devices and cell phones, that essentially these people that have access to all of the servers can create like a 3D image map of what you're doing in your own home. Like they don't need to even look at it with a satellite through some kind of thermal lens. Like they'll just use your Wi-Fi network and map out your home, and they'll know, if you're scratching your ass, they'll see it.
Oh yeah, there's actually several iterations that come up through the conspiracy community as for what they think the ability that certain deep state actors have.
Yeah, and if you notice, like they just banned a whole bunch of Chinese-made routers for this very reason.
Ooh, I didn't know that. I knew Huawei got hit with a bunch of shit a while ago.
Yeah. This is recently, and this was routers, just Chinese-made routers, and this is the reason why. But we'll get into that in another episode. But I think it's obvious, folks, when you look at this chart, this isn't random. This is not random. And when you look at how many this is just 10 of the 12, and I've heard as high as 14 now, possibly. But if you just look at these 10 that are double, triple confirmed, 3 from NASA, 1 from Los Alamos National Labs, 1 was a defense contractor, 1 from the Air Force. Then there was Amy from her antigravitic from the Institute, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, Caltech. And then this one at the bottom here, Jason Thomas, employer affiliation not clearly established. Spy? There's something going on, and don't let these people gaslight you and tell you there's not.
Yeah, 2 homicides looks like a home invasion for both.
Which is highly unusual. A home invasion homicide is highly unusual. So it's strange. And the thing is with Amy, I don't think with Amy that she did it of her own volition or her own accord. I don't think that she wanted to do that. She told multiple people she didn't want that. And that's how she ended up going. And I think whoever was fucking with her, they realized, okay, we got her down to the weakest moment. Time to do something to accelerate her taking herself out. That's my belief. And so in my opinion, it is a murder. It's just not what you typically think of as murder.
It's also too much on the funky side to not question any of it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like I said, like, I don't know that any of these people we saw spoke today were really bad people. They were just people that had different priorities and they were getting fucked with. And when you enter a relationship with other motives, a person's going to pick up on that. They just are, unless they're a hybrid. All right, buddy. Well, hey, thank you for coming and chilling, man, and sharing your thoughts on this stuff.
Hell yeah, I had an absolute blast. As always, subject matter was depressing, but fucking still had a good time nonetheless. Well, I'll come back anytime, but
yeah, I'm trying this poll thing. I don't know if it's gonna work, but if any of you can vote, I did put a poll up. Was what happened to Amy murder or suicide? We've got suicide, murder, or induced suicide. That's a answer I added. So if you can vote, go ahead and give us a vote on that. Let us know what you think. And yeah, Flack, thanks for coming by. Everyone else, thanks for chilling. Have a good rest of your evening. Keep your head up. Keep fighting, y'all.
Peace.
Everyone around me and my family's in like total denial. My family's in total denial, and we're like, so I hired this new cybersecurity company, and it's run by the former CIO of Northrop Grumman. I was referred to him for a reason. And he's like, hey, I've been spending 35 years in counter-espionage, specifically for the Navy, specifically for advanced propulsion. And I was the chief information officer for Northrop Grumman. And I was like, okay, I'm going to tell you a series of really crazy ass stories. And can you please reserve judgment until the end? And I told him a bunch of stories about like electronic and physical surveillance and stalking and like weird ass death and sexual threats and shit. And I got to the end and I was like, okay, I'm ready. Tell me I'm crazy. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm insane. Tell me I'm sane. I'm ready for it. Tell me. And this guy was like, I wish I could tell you that you were insane, but you're totally not. He was like, I'm so fucking sorry. He was like trying to let me down gently. And he was like, the stories you've told me, I've heard from other young women in technology positions. And he was like, they do it on purpose. They do like crazy ass shit to you that is unbelievable just so that you feel like you can't tell anyone. And they pose as like agents from their own government.
My trick is that I tell everyone. And
I
by
do
telling
too,
everyone,
but,
protect yourself.
I tell people, but I wait until I have 5 or 6 smoking guns before I open my mouth.